who said things that we have had to bleep out because they were so vile against the Hindu community, is still at large. It's been 3 days. But a young woman, barely a woman, viewers, she's just a girl who said that it is wrong to riot. And those who are rioting are doing a disservice to this country and should be deported, thrown out. She's in jail. She's also been victimized. Her family has been threatened and her home has been vandalized. Now first listen to this cleric who has shocked the nation. Viewers, listen to what he's saying in this speech. Listen precisely to the words, some of which we have had to extricate. Listen.
যেদিন 2014 এর 27শে মে নরেন্দ্র মোদী পার্লামেন্টে শপথ নিয়েছিল, সেই দিন 2014 বলেছিলাম, अगर तू ही फिरौन है, अगर तू ही फिरौन है तो जान लो मूसा भी जरूर आएगा। अल्लाहू अकबर, अल्लाहू अकबर। पूरा दुनिया जुगे जुगे যখনই নবীর দুশমনরা জিন্দা হয়েছে, তখনই মহান আল্লাহ তাআলা ওইকে শাস্তি দেওয়ার জন্য একজন মর্দে মুজাহিদ, একজন নবীকে পৃথিবীর বুকে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছে।
Because this man is still free, but the young woman to the bottom of your screens is in jail. She's locked up. Ashwini posted on social media protesting the violence. That's her crime. Her father is shattered. He doesn't quite know what to do, what to say. Their home has been attacked and vandalized. Their meager savings, possessions, viewers, have been looted from them. Hear this.
ওই মেয়ে একটা পোস্ট করেছিল, তাই তো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ,
পোস্টটা করেছিল যে যাদের ভালো লাগবে দেশে তারা থাকতে পারে, না হলে দেশ ছেড়ে চলে যেতে পারে। এইটাকে নিয়ে মানে এখানকার মুসলিমরা মানে অশান্তি দাঙ্গা টাইপের ক্লিক করেছিল। থানা ভাঙচুর, বাড়িঘর ভাঙচুর, এবং মেয়ের অ্যারেস্ট চাই, অ্যারেস্ট করানো হয়েছিল। তার সত্ত্বেও তারা পরবর্তী ভাঙচুর, থানা এবং বাড়িঘর এসব করে।
No action taken, viewers. That's the disparity. In Jharkhand, let's go to the next example. In Jharkhand, 10,000 people surrounded a Hanuman temple. Those are the pictures. The mob moved towards the temple in a bid to overrun it. An FIR is filed that alleges that 60 to 80 rounds were fired by the mob at the police. But the Congress, which is part of the state government, refuses to accept the case filed by its own police, even denying the desecration of the temples despite clear video evidence of it. Duplicity? Viewers, this is brazenness. The next story. The hypocrisy is no different in Uttar Pradesh. Here the state administration has bulldozed the property of alleged masterminds of the violence in Kanpur. The bulldozing has happened in Prayagraj, but a section of the political class and civil society has slammed the Yogi government for applying the law in its entirety. Now viewers, they say that this is a case of Islamophobia, that Muslims have been targeted, ignoring the fact that bulldozers have been used in just the recent past also against Hindu transgressors of the law. To invoke identity, religion, to play the religion card is to divide the country. In Maharashtra, the mismatch is glaring. A young man who was thrashed by reactionaries for no other crime than taking on the rioters has been arrested. But a member of parliament of the MIM, Imtiaz Jalil, who exhorted his audience to hang Nupur Sharma, is still free. Yes, viewers, he's still free. But that young boy who tried to drill some sense into the members of his own community is there folding his hands and begging for his life. They beat him, they thrashed him, and he is being jailed for spreading hate. He was almost lynched. And the MIM MP, Imtiaz Jalil, who stood amongst his supporters and implored them to hang Nupur Sharma at that very spot in Aurangabad, in the Chowk, is still free, viewers. This is the country we live in. What's behind this duplicity over dangas, over riots? Basic question, that's the hashtag. Let's open this up. Let's go straight across to our panel. I'm going to, first of all, bring in Subhui Khan and Lokesh Jindal and Riju Datta, spokesperson of the TMC, into this conversation. Mr. Riju Datta, can you explain why a cleric for 72 hours is on the run? We're even been told that there's no FIR against him when we last checked. Why is he still on the run? And why is this young woman, who's barely an adult, why is she in jail? What kind of justice, lopsided justice is this? What's going on, sir? Let's show you those pictures. Please, let's look at the pictures from Bengal of this young woman who's behind a prison door. That's what people are going to remember her by, viewers. Why is this the case, sir?
Okay, thank you, Rahul. Now, last 3 days, India is burning, blood is spilled. 2 young boys lost their lives in Ranchi. A lot of violence and properties have been looted, arson happened all over the country. Why after 3 days, Nupur Sharma is still not arrested? Why BJP is giving her protection? Why Narendra Modi, Amit Shah is still following her on Twitter? Why? These are also questions that needs to be asked. First of all, I, on your channel, appeal for peace. Now, coming to the cleric, that fellow is condemnable and that fellow should be behind bars, no question asked. But there is a rule of law and law must be followed.
Right.
We don't just randomly go and bulldoze people because, in this country there is still something called courts and adalats and vakils and all this is there. Now, when you start showing this picture, why don't you also show the picture which happened today? Mohammad Fahim and Nisar Ahmed arrested by Delhi police for holding poster against Nupur Sharma. Why are those pictures are not here? One spokesperson of a BJP, a national spokesperson of a BJP, who later was branded as fringe element, yes, suspended pending inquiry, has made a defamatory remark against the prophet. She is still not arrested. The country had to apologize to 60 nations for oil or whatever reason whatsoever. When the Prime Minister gets up in the morning and sends a happy birthday or happy anniversary message to foreign delegates, has not said a single word about the current situation in the country. Why are we not asking those questions? And suddenly we flip everything. See, a rioter is a rioter who will be booked under the strictest arm of the law. We have arrested 200 people. 50 of them are put behind bars with the strongest possible cases of riot. But my question is this. When it all started with that person and riot and arrests are happening, even in Saharanpur, 18 people are arrested for Facebook posts where 12 are Hindus and 6 are Muslims. I'm still saying that also. But why is that person, जिसके लिए पूरा बखेड़ा खड़ा हुआ, उसको अभी तक arrest क्यों नहीं किया गया? क्यों? Why? Why? Please answer me that.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, but at least 4 state governments have filed cases, including Maharashtra, including, one second, the Bengal government. Why haven't you moved to arrest Nupur Sharma? You have arrested.
We have already summoned her. We have already summoned her.
So good. So then, 1 minute, Riju Datta, let me speak. No, let me speak. First of all, I just want to make it very clear, viewers, that Nupur Sharma, if she has been booked, she must appear before the authorities. They must do what the law allows them to do.
ask you now.
No,
Rahul,
1 second.
10 seconds.
Sir, I haven't finished.
Yeah,
you
please,
asked
please,
a series
please,
of questions, you know, through your 2.5, 3-minute answers. So let me just point out a few things. Sir, you said that we are only following due process. Of course, you must follow due process. It's very important to follow due process. And we also don't endorse bulldozers running left, right, and center, knocking down people's homes without any purpose. Neither do I believe, and let me be very honest with you, neither do I believe that bulldozers should be sent after the state administration declares somebody guilty. That's for the courts to decide. In India, we still have courts deciding on people's guilt. So I am no bulldozer, you know, fanatic. So let me just make that very clear for you. But this is not about me, per se. This is about a state government in charge of law and order. Now, you said we are following due process. Yes, sir, you are following due process. My question is very selectively. A young woman who's a soft target is in jail. The more difficult person, who is obviously an influential member of his society, a cleric who can influence people, is still at large. That's the disparity. And the only reason I'm asking you this question, sir, is because this question has also been asked of you, prompted of you by the High Court, the Calcutta High Court in the past. Do you know in which case, sir? In the Bengal post-poll violence cases, where, sir, you were asked a very specific question. Why is the SIT that is appointed by you not, in fact, working in the manner that it should be? Because when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to actually going after those that are influential, you have been found wanting, and these are not just this particular case. I can give you a few more instances.
Can I get 10 seconds, please?
You can take 3 minutes. Answer the questions.
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm answering the questions. Now, you said that why we are following due process. Let me also remind your viewers, one Mr. Avinash Das, a normal journalist, a small-time journalist from Gujarat, was put behind bars and still behind bars because he shared a picture of Pooja Singhal with Amit Shah. Why is that? Number one. Second, Tejinder Bagga was arrested. There was court at 12 o'clock in the night, and he was relieved from transit remand when he was brought to Delhi. At that time, the law and the court acted in a blink of an eye. What is happening with Nupur Sharma? Again, I'm saying these atrocious defamatory remarks has divided the country based on religious lines. Why is now she is being protected? Please answer these questions.
Okay, Mr. Riju Datta, you still have an answer. Look, Riju Datta Saab, two wrongs don't make a right. If the courts, no, 1 second. If the courts were opened at 2 in the morning for, what's his name, Bagga, they were also opened for, a couple of terrorists in the past. Look, the courts will function as they have to function. I am not saying that. The Gujarat government may or may not have arrested, may have arrested, may not have arrested. Delhi may have. What are you doing? Law and order is your bread and butter, sir. It comes under your state government. Why don't you answer about you?
Thank you. You said law and order is a state subject. Thank you. This started, violence happened in one district out of 21 districts.
It doesn't matter. Violence is violence, sir. It spreads.
Yes, violence
Crack down, arrest the man, arrest. Do you have any reason not to arrest the cleric? You've arrested a young girl, but not a cleric. Can you just answer the disparity?
No, first of all, that young girl is brainwashed like the Frankenstein.
It doesn't matter, sir. What do you think the cleric is? Do you think he's not brainwashed?
To another country, किसी का बाप का देश नहीं है ये.
And it doesn't matter, sir. Even if she's a BJP diehard supporter, even if she's a BJP diehard supporter, are you going to lock up BJP diehard supporters in your state?
No, it is not about
So then
BJP
what are you arguing against? Jawad DJ. No, Dr. Datta, you're a very reasonable and an intelligent man. You're a very reasonable and an extremely intelligent man. Dr. Datta, let's not, we debated earlier. Now I know there's a bit of whataboutery here. It's okay. I understand. It comes across. It comes across as a state government. Okay, it's a state government that is coming across as being tardy in one case and extremely active in the other. This is a fact. Now, you can blame the BJP for doing exactly what you're doing. Dr. Datta, why should I have to file an FIR, sir? You run the state government. You have a police that can act suo moto. मैं कौन हूँ, sir? I have to protect myself against the FIRs that you have filed against me. I mean, you know,
Right.
come on.
Right.
Okay, it's a fact. Let me open this up.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to get my own lawyers to fight my own case. It's all public knowledge. You know this. I mean, you know, are you wanting me to put my head? Are you wanting me to put my head on the block?
And Rahul,
Okay, anyone who asks you a question is immediately booked, sir. Now, what am I supposed to do? You want me to put my head again in the lion's mouth or the lioness's mouth? Sir, please spare me. I'm a hardworking man of letters who writes articles, etc. You have put so many cases against me, against my poor reporter Tamal in the past. Please, sir, spare us.
But Tamal, let me tell you, Tamal is our favorite now in Bengal.
Yeah, of course he is, sir. I know. Sushil Pandit, would you like to come in? Subui Khan, would you like to come in? I see, I might be wrong, I see standards being applied selectively. Sushil Pandit. Okay, I think you're on mute, Sushil Pandit. You're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you. And namaskar to all your co-panelists and viewers. I'm surprised that you are surprised at what is happening in Bengal. Not too long ago, in this very state, the CBI team which had gone there to only interrogate, question, engage in a conversation, a police officer, that team was detained. And nothing happened to the state government. In this very state, the Home Minister's chopper was not allowed to land, who had gone there to campaign for his election rallies. Another fellow Chief Minister, his route was blocked. He had to circumvent and come through other means. So this state has time and again shown that the administration is a law unto itself. They are arbitrary, they are vindictive, and very often, more often than not, complicit with organized crime when loot and mayhem happens against the hapless citizens of its own state, when post-election reprisals happen. I have seen videos where defenseless citizens fall at the feet of governor, beseech him not to leave because they don't know what will happen to them just because they complained to him. They cried in front of him. So I wonder what the center wants to do with this state. What provisions do they want to invoke against this lawlessness, where not just ordinary citizens, but public representatives are terrified. Terrified into leaving their parties.
Riju Datta,
from their posts.
quick response.
Yes.
I want to open this up and focus on some other states also. Yes, Riju Datta.
Quick response. Yes, quick response. Every time people talk about post-poll violence. Now, post-poll violence, there was an NHRC team that came to Bengal. 3 members out of that team, Atif Rashid, ex-BJP Delhi president and BJP candidate, Rejaul Desai, BJP Mahila Morcha chief, and Arun Mishra, ex-judge who tweeted visionary Modi. This was the team of NHRC that came to investigate post-poll violence, number one. If everything is so hunky-dory in BJP and BJP is doing nothing bad, then why in such a sensitive topic, and which is about the BJP spokesperson and her comments, BJP does not have a representative on your channel? And third, I know Mr. Pandit from other debates also. I just want to ask him, is he satisfied with how the center is treating Kashmir right now after they have used Kashmiri people as props and propaganda? So before pointing at Bengal, please look what the center is doing in Kashmir.
Yeah, of course.
May I come back here?
Yes.
Rahul, we have seen in the last 8 to 10 minutes, every time there is a question asked about Bengal, the apologist of the government and the party runs to either Gujarat or to Kashmir or to UP or to wherever else their Hakuna Matata is, but does not answer the questions vis-a-vis Bengal, which means, and we can therefore conclude that all that is implied in the questions that you ask and that I ask is conceded as truth. And since there is no explanation and no reasonable, fact or data given to satisfy the answers to those questions.
That time is now
established.
Let me just say, gentlemen, 1 second. Let me just say, Times Now stand on clerics spewing hate has been very consistent. I went after the central administration in Jammu and Kashmir for not jailing instantly the Badharwa cleric. I have tweeted several times, and finally he was taken into custody yesterday, a full 4 days after he committed the outrageous sin of wanting to attack Hindus, denigrate their faith, as well as, of course, take matters into his own hands and advocate extrajudicial punishments for Nupur. Sharma. So just put it out there, viewers. I'm not seeing the issue of clerics inciting violence through any political prism or lens. For me, anyone inciting violence, whether it's Yati, Narsinghanand or whatever else it is, should be in jail. If they're not in jail, there's a problem. And I will continue to ask those questions. Mr. Datta may choose not to answer them, might focus on other states. That's his prerogative. But my prerogative is to ask the question. Okay, let me open this up. Let's open it up. There are more people here. Lokesh Jindal, Sajid Supariwala, of course, Ratan Sharja and Subui Khan. Let's focus for a few moments on what is happening in Jharkhand. In Jharkhand, viewers, and I just want to show you those pictures there. You can see them on your screens. Temples are desecrated in large-scale rioting that takes place on Friday, post-press. Yet the Congress today is coming out and pretending nothing has happened. And I can play out that soundbite. I think we have it, Nizam Bhai, the soundbite. We will play it in just a few seconds. But viewers, let me tell you, the Congress in Jharkhand has this to say, and I want you to listen. Denying anything has ever happened. Listen to this.
जी सांप्रदायिक घटनाएं क्योंकि लगातार झारखंड में रिपोर्ट की गई हैं, पहले भी की गई है, लोअर दंगा में भी इस तरह की घटना सामने आई और अब तो आपके राजधानी के अंदर होती है इस तरह की घटना। टाइम्स नाउ लगातार दिखा रहा है 3 मंदिरों पर हमला किया गया, डेलिबरेटली अटेम्प्ट ऑफ इन्वोकिंग राइट्स था वो सर, क्योंकि सीसीटीवी फुटेजेस सामने आए हैं, मंदिरों पर हमला होता है, घरों पर हमला होता है, सरकार क्यों जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेती? और
ये हम कैसे मान लें कि आपने फुटेज जो बना दिया वही सही है? किसने हमला किया है?
पुलिस ने एफआईआर भी रजिस्टर कर दी है सर।
एफआईआर रजिस्टर कर दिया, किसी को पकड़ा है क्या?
Police in the state of Jharkhand, viewers, Jharkhand is ruled by Congress and JMM, their alliance partners. They file an FIR. This gentleman, who is the state chief of the Congress unit there, says, FIR se kya hota hai? Any arrests? He says, CCTV footage aapka hai. Viewers, CCTV footage, the CCTV camera is not run by anybody. It just focuses on a spot and captures what it sees. The police have extracted this footage and they are showing it. In this particular case, viewers, you are seeing mobile footage. But there are also CCTV footage. So I want to ask Mr. Jindal, why is it so embarrassing? Why is the police embarrassing you in your own state? बदला क्यों ले रहे हैं आपसे by incriminating the rioters and saying they have attacked temples? Why are they doing this to you, sir? राहुल गांधी उनको पसंद नहीं है क्या? Mr. Jindal.
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है राहुल, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है।
Then why, Mr. Jindal, are you doubting your own police?
It is maintaining. No, it is just an FIR. Let the investigation take place.
No, so you mean to say your police just filed FIRs against the minority community and shoots at them? No, I'm asking you, Lokesh Jindal, does your police that reports to you and Jharkhand government, well, listen to me, they just file FIRs randomly, like they do in Uttar Pradesh, you will say. Next. Randomly सब चलता है आपके states में.
So you want the police not to observe the due process of law and file an FIR and directly go with the bulldozer.
That you don't trust your own police. They are saying that certain people have done something.
You say manner that it has to.
But Lokesh Jindal, then why are you doubting your own police? Why do you say what difference does an FIR make?
Let the police investigate.
They have
we are never
investigated and on
doubting
the
the
basis
police.
of a plain...
The police is simply doing its job.
No,
and
Mr.
I must
Jindal,
congratulate the police over here
Mr. Jindal,
that it is doing its job diligently.
Okay, so then why?
Yes.
Then why is your state chief denying that temples have been desecrated, that the CCTV footage that the police is relying upon is not to be trusted, and most importantly, that they've only filed an FIR? It doesn't mean anything. They haven't arrested anybody. Why haven't they arrested anybody? Have they been told to stand down?
He's absolutely right.
Ah, okay. He's right.
What he has said is that the claim that there is a Hindu-Muslim divide, there is a communal divide, there is a communal tension, is something that is false. That is being claimed by the state
It's
chief.
false. So ghosts were running around.
The state chief has simply stated
Sharda,
that
do you
no,
respond
the
to
kind
Jindal?
of Hindu-Muslim divide that is taking place in the BJP-ruled
Okay,
state,
there is no Hindu-Muslim divide here. There was no rioting in Ranchi. No one was killed. Those bodies that were found of those two people, they just dropped out of the skies.
What I'm saying is...
well, sir, that's really shocking.
Should
I show you the real pictures? Let's pull out more pictures. Not just this temple attack. Let's pull out more pictures of the rioting that actually took place in Ranchi. Look at those pictures, viewers. People running in thousands, if not lakhs, onto the streets. 8 cops seriously injured. I will play you a clip of a cop who's whimpering and saying, they are attacking us. I will play that out. But Ratan Sharda, how do you respond to Lokesh Jindal, who is in disbelief, who can't believe that the police has fired an FIR based on the truth, which they have been obviously trying to obscure?
Rahul, it's very sad to see that secularism in our country has remained one-eyed, one-eared, with a twisted tongue. This negationism is not new to Congress. They negated 1920 Mopla riots. They negated direct action. They negated the communal riots from 1921 to 24 and also the partition riots. They removed from the history most of the things which happened during the partition. Now they are denying even this. How horrible can this be? That and in fact, people are appreciating the Jharkhand police are strict. But today suddenly it seems that Congress High Command told them to go slow. So this kind of one-eyed secularism is the main reason, the main problem. We keep on talking about Nupur Sharma. Has anybody of them, all these great secular person condemned the 12 days of horrible abuse and ridicule of Hindu gods and Hindus when this Shivling was found in Gyanvyapi? Not at all. They condemn the MIMM MP saying that hang Nupur Sharma openly. Did they criticize the effigy of Nupur Sharma hanging on the trees? And he says 3 days in Bengal. My dear friend, in all other states, the riots were controlled within a day. In Bengal, police was nowhere to be seen. You have pictures, the police standing at the back, relaxed, as if they are watching him tamasha. And you have arrested a girl. When Disha Ravi was arrested, Mamata Banerjee gave a statement that it is unfair. Today you find a girl being arrested. You talk of FIR. Why was the FIR given to the girl? And this particular Taqir Raza or whoever it is, he called for another protest march on the next Friday. So this is nothing but a continuous effort to create unrest, create
Congress
violence.
today stands between the truth in such a blatant manner that it will even deny now the whimpers of this police person.
Let me reply
Jindal
to what Mr. Shanta has said.
You respond once.
Let me just reply, please.
Jindal Sahab, give me 30 seconds. You will respond. 1 second.
Give me 30 seconds, then you can respond.
Okay.
Can I?
Yes.
Ram Rahim case. He was a rapist. But all these liberals were very happy when fires were opened, innocent supporters were killed, his followers were killed, and he was put into jail very happily. There was no case of innocents being killed by the fire. Today they say, oh, Kanun ka rasta hai. This fellow, the mad fellow who talks about obscene things about all this, he has a right to protect himself. Others don't have.
Okay.
Nupur Sharma doesn't have.
On
Nobody
Ram Rahim,
has.
viewers, on Ram Rahim, pretty much every political party did business with him. Let me just put that out there. And also the courts recently gave him parole.
Everybody was happy.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with you. 1 minute. I just want to bring out very clearly the proof, viewers. Those are the pictures of violence, large-scale violence. Now, just listen to this whimpering policeman who clearly has been asked to stand down. And he's taking it bravely. Just listen to this.
देखिए देखिए पत्थर चला रहा, देखिए देखिए, आप इधर आ जाइए, आप इधर आ जाइए, इधर आ जाइए, छिप जाइए, इधर आ जाइए सर, सर पत्थर चल रहा है सर, हमको कवर में लगा, मेरा मोबाइल टूट गया सर, जल्दी से सर देखिए, अभी पत्थर चला रहा था सर, फोर्स भेज दीजिए सर, फोर्स भेज दीजिए।
He is whimpering. He says, send us the force. And Jindal says, there's been no communal rioting there. Mr. Jindal, what's wrong with you?
Rahul, can you please play Nupur Sharma's video also? The speech that she spewed.
Rahul, can I come in?
So,
put her in jail.
Please, can you also play that video?
Throw her into jail. Who's stopping you?
No, the point is,
Maharashtra
no, let me just answer.
No, hang on.
The point is,
no, 1 minute, 1 minute. What nonsense is this? 1 second. Sajid Supariwala is there with the Shiv Sena. He's raising his hand very high. You have filed a case against Nupur Sharma. Good. I'm glad, sir, that you have done so. Why haven't you filed a case against MIM MP, Mr. Imtiaz Jalil? Till I last checked, till 2 hours ago, there was no case against him. He's not even been arrested. Usko to bulaya bhi nahi. Kyun? Supariwala Saab, Shiv Sena now has some.
Am I audible to you?
Yes,
I want
please.
to tell you something.
Mr. Supariwala, go ahead. Answer
why has all this happened? It is only because of the foolish statement. It is only because of the foolish and irresponsible statement of Nupur Sharma that this all has taken place.
Right.
I have been watching your show since I have been quiet, watching you have been questioning everybody. This is not a very small thing. This is the question of the Prophet of Islam, who not only the Muslims admire and respect, but also the non-Muslims do. And this is not a very small thing. It amounts to blasphemy. And secondly,
I'm asking you a straight
in spite
question.
of that,
you know,
no,
Nupur
1 minute,
Sharma
let me tell you one thing.
BJP,
I'm coming to a point.
No,
I want to clear.
About duplicity.
I want to clear. This
duplicity.
is a punishment. This is not the punishment. 1 second. No, I am coming to the
punish
point.
Karo na.
Let
You
me
have filed a case.
I'm
Duplicity.
coming to the point. I want to. There is something very important which I am going to tell you right now.
Please.
If you do not want to listen to it, then don't ask me a question. If you are asking me a question, please let me speak.
Tell us.
There is a book called The 100.
I can't.
The ranking of the most influential persons in history. It has been written by Michael Hart, who is in USA, a very, very respected author. And that book was published in 1978, which was again reprinted in 1992 with revisions. It states that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, means peace be upon him, is one of the most influential person in history. So not only the Muslims, but the Christians, but the Hindus, my Hindu brothers, my Christian brothers, my Buddhist brothers, who all are read about him, secured themselves with the education and knowing what they are talking about. When you are talking about a personality, definitely you have to be very responsible. Even Uddhav Sahib, my Sahib, said in the last speech in Aurangabad that any insult to any goddesses of the Hindus, as well as the Prophet of the Islam, of the Muslims, will not be permitted. If somebody says something wrong, punishment should be done, action should be taken. Because of that Nupur Sharma and because of BJP, today our country has been ridiculed, has been
now
Supariwala in the Gulf.
Supariwala,
who will be answerable to that?
Okay, Mr. Supariwala, your entire...
Internationally, my country has been put... 1 minute. Internationally, my country has been humiliated. What is your reply to that? You are talking about certain incidents in some place.
I'll just let you in.
What you are talking about. Law should not be taken
Mr.
in hand.
Supariwala,
but the Constitution,
Mr. Supariwala,
the Constitution allows you to protest.
Mr. Supariwala,
the Constitution allows you to protest. Why shouldn't anybody protest?
Okay.
And why are we going?
So 1 minute now. Now viewers, Supariwala says you are allowed to protest. So MIM MP Jalil lower his fader because he'll just keep ramrodding this debate. I've lowered your fader, Supariwala. Now relax, calm down, take a sip of water. Now viewers, so MIM MP, what we are hearing from Supariwala is the following. He's allowed to say, hang Nupur Sharma in the square hang her, he has a right to protest, no problems. Is that what you're saying, Supariwala?
Coming to that, can I come back?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I am not praising anybody, Mr. Imtiaz Jalil.
Denounce
or anybody.
him.
It is my personal opinion.
Denounce
that
him.
Nupur Sharma should be punished. Harshest punishment should be given.
Harshest.
1 minute. 1 minute.
So you are agreeing. You are agreeing with MIM MP. You are agreeing with MIM MP when he said hang her from the square.
I'm saying harshest. I'm saying what,
now viewers.
1 minute.
Now viewers,
have
let
I
me
said
ask
those
you.
words? I'm saying harshest punishment.
Great.
Means whatever is in the 1 minute. Means whatever is is allowed in this case.
Yeah, beheader you are saying. Are you saying beheader also?
Lawfully punish her.
You are saying sartan se juda?
No, I did not say.
What is the permission?
1 minute. I did not say hang or behead.
Okay.
I said the harshest punishment, she should be taken action against so that it sets an example that no other person can insult any god, goddess or anybody's prophet.
Okay, so Supariwala, let me ask you then. Let me ask you this question. There are 3 questions. You need to answer each one of them. Number 1. So you agree when Imtiaz Jalil asks for extrajudicial punishment, which is not prescribed by the law under which Nupur Sharma has been booked, that is an incitement to violence against her. 1. Number 2, do you believe, and this is a question I want to ask you since you have referred to your Sahab, Uddhav Thackeray, do you think Aurangabad should be called Sambhaji Nagar? And number 3, sir, the Congress, your alliance partner, the NCP, in the past have said that Veer Savarkar was an Islamophobe. Do you believe that the Shiv Sena's demand to give him the Bharat Ratna is a valid one or not? 3 questions, sir. Answers from you. Keep them short.
I will answer your first question. I did not say non-judiciary. I said whatever is allowed and whatever is the punishment should be taken. The harshest punishment which could be given should be given. So it sets an example that no other person can insult any god or goddess or anybody's prophet to hurt any religious sentiment.
So Imtiaz Jalil, who has asked for extrajudicial punishment, should he be punished, yes or no? Imtiaz Jalil, should he be punished, yes or no?
1 minute. What I have not yet seen Imtiaz Jalil's statement or heard about it.
It doesn't matter. You will not see it. You're blind to it.
When I see
Second question. Second question, the answer.
No, I have not seen it.
Okay, second question, the answer. Do you want Aurangabad also, do you support it to be named Sambhaji Nagar?
This is a very relative question which you have asked me.
It's an exact question.
This is something which the higher authorities can say because I'm not an authority
your higher
on that.
authorities will
I'm
say.
not an authority on that.
Supariwala, you have an opinion on everything,
1 minute,
but not on this issue.
Let me complete.
Number 3, do you believe that Veer Savarkar...
this opinion also I'm coming.
No, who did not have anything nice to say?
I want to ask you, I want to answer your... 1 minute. I want to answer your second question. Please let me answer it.
Please.
I have not completed. Just taking 1 minute of that.
Answer.
See, there has been so many cities' name has been changed, renamed in UP by Mr. Yogi. So this, what you are talking about, will be taken, the decision will be taken by the higher authorities. Yogi has already changed, so many people have already changed name in their states and cities.
You know,
so
sir,
whatever is
by
here
not responding
is not
to my statement,
my prerogative or
by
my
not
opinion or my
responding
authority.
to my statement and giving your point of view, you are exposing yourself as an opportunist. Third, let me ask you, simple question. Don't get provoked by me. Don't get provoked. Number 3, third question. The third question is an important one, and I asked you this because you said that anyone who speaks ill of our faith or who holds us in contempt should be punished. Now, Mr. Veer Savarkar didn't have very pleasant things to say about the Islamic tradition.
No, 1 minute, let me
correct. I want to ask
I did not say my religion, I said every religion.
Every religion, fair enough. Every religion.
Not my religion, I said any religion.
Including yours, I presume.
Every religion.
Including yours, I presume.
Yeah,
okay. So Mr. Veer Savarkar didn't have very pleasant things to say about your faith in particular. So I want to ask you, do you think the Shiv Sena should continue its demand to honor him with a Bharat Ratna?
I think this question is very irrelevant for today. Because you are asking me about Nupur Sharma's case.
I'll tell you why, viewers, it's a very relevant question. I'll tell you why.
You are asking a very irrelevant question.
Okay, that's
right
okay.
now.
Fair enough. It's a relevant question because I want to expose Mr. Supariwala as an individual who is selective. So it's okay for him. It's okay for him to rail against Nupur Sharma. It appeals to his base, but he has a problem.
It is not about being selective,
it's okay,
my dear brother.
It's okay.
Mr. Rahul,
my brother would be more honest.
Selective.
1 minute, Supariwala Sahab.
It is irrelevant, totally
no,
irrelevant.
No, it's not. I'll tell you. Allow me to speak.
About.
Mr. Supariwala, I beg you, allow me to speak. You see, viewers, it's very important. It's very, very important to understand what is happening. MIM just offered support in the Rajya Sabha elections to the Shiv Sena. They just did. OAC said we will support the Shiv Sena. And who is the MIM MP? He's OAC's MP, Imtiaz Jalil, who's not been arrested for advocating public execution of Nupur Sharma.
This you will have to
while
ask the question.
A young boy in the state of Maharashtra, that boy Ansari, while that boy Ansari has been thrashed and put in jail. That's what I'm trying to tell you, viewers. This person selectively only focuses on political aspects which favor him.
He was supporting
I've established that. I want to bring in Subui Khan. Yes, Subui Khan, please go ahead.
Blaspheming Islam and
Subui Khan. Subui Khan. No one supports anyone insulting a religion. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Sajid, you are not the only Muslim in the panel. Let others speak. Rahul, first of all, I want to say with full responsibility that all these happenings are not for protecting the honor of Prophet. Unfortunately, when these people failed in Muslim appeasement politics, now they are trying to just politicize Prophet's name. Just like Nupur Sharma, even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is also being, they're trying to even make the Prophet the scapegoat in the entire scenario. I will ask a few questions from this man, Mr. Sajid. If you really think that this is happening, okay, please don't cut in between. Let me finish. Rahul, I can't argue like this. I was not well today.
But you are blaming me with something which is not right.
I'm asking you a few questions. Please answer. I have few questions for you.
You can go
if
ahead.
you really,
you can
if you
sure,
are fighting for the honor of Prophet, why don't you fight against people who are running terrorist organizations like Jaish-e-Mohammed in the name of Prophet? You have no anger on those people. Why don't you fight when Muslim women are used as sexual commodity in the name of halala? Don't you think that Prophet is defamed by such practices? Why don't you run these protests against Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Taliban, Hezbollah? Why don't you raise your voices then? Why don't you raise your voices when Muslim youth, Muslim young kids are being radicalized, when they are made separatist, extremists and terrorists? That is real Gustakh-e-Rasool. That is real dishonor in the name of Prophet. Nupur just said something out of outrage. FIR has also been registered against us. She has issued a written apology, suspended from the party, and you are just trying to politicize the entire issue. अगर गुस्ताखे रसूल करना है तो जाकर उन लोगों के खिलाफ करिए जिन्होंने हदीस लिखे हैं. भारत ने नहीं लिखा है, बीजेपी आरएसएस ने नहीं लिखा है, नुपुर शर्मा ने नहीं लिखा है, वो ईरान, इराक, अरब, टर्की ने लिखा है.
Response. I want to move on. Response, Supariwala. Mr. Supariwala, respond, please. Yes. And then we'll move on, viewers. Yeah.
Can I respond to it?
Yes, please.
Can I respond to it? First of all, any terrorist doesn't have a religion. He's not a Muslim who's a terrorist. First, let me tell you that. Let me clear.
Oh my God, please do. I don't want to
jihad
listen to these
jab hota tha, aaj hamare nafs se hamari jihad hai. 1 minute. Let me continue now. If you're asking me question, if you do not agree, tell me you do not agree. But let me at least speak.
रसूल की बेअत भी करते हैं.
Let me finish.
Let me at least speak.
Do you have
Miss Khan,
let me at least speak. Let me see, no. Let me say, no. This is not the right way, ma'am.
Supariwala, Mr. Supariwala, speak.
I am not disagreeing to everything you are saying.
Yes. Supariwala, go ahead. Make your point. Yes.
Okay. The thing is, I condemn anybody who's utilizing young minds, be it ISIS or any such things.
Okay.
I think you have not seen our protests earlier.
Yes.
I am not only a Muslim, but I'm a responsible Muslim.
Okay.
I'm a responsible party, and I do not honor or do not like people who brainwash youngsters to go for all these trainings. ISIS has been condemned by me and my community,
viewers,
and many others.
We need to go deeper on this.
When
Thank you
are
very much.
talking about
Good point. No, 1 second, Mr. Khan, good point. And Mr. Supariwala, good point. The point is not that, viewers. The point is about selective action against those people that you think are politically useful for you and those people who you don't think are politically useful for you. We were trying to get at that. I don't want to get into a deeper debate about whether Muslims in general favor the Al-Qaeda or not. That is for another debate, another time. But viewers, I'll move on. There has been another big development today. Rahul Gandhi was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Till last count, he is still, in fact, being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. He was allowed to go home for about an hour and a half in the afternoon and then returned to the Enforcement Directorate headquarters in Delhi. Those are the pictures. What we saw, viewers, was remarkable. Congress held pan-India protests. Thousands of Congress workers hit the streets in large numbers. It was a day marked by high drama as Rahul Gandhi faced the ED heat. In a mega show of solidarity, workers, as you can see, from Lucknow, Delhi, Jammu, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Ernakulam, Patna, Guwahati and several other cities hit the streets. Why were they hitting the streets? Because they believed that the ED summons was born out of a misplaced sense of vendetta. The case, if you remember, was first instigated by Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the National Herald case. The National Herald case revolves around a newspaper. ED asked Rahul about the loans from Dotex Limited, a company based out of Kolkata, allegedly involved in Hawala operations. A loan of 1 crore was used, unsecured loan, which was not even taken from a company which gave its PAN number, to secure the assets of another entity which had 2,000 crores in assets. Viewers, many people are accusing the Congress of laundering money, and of course Dr. Subramanian Swamy has moved court. The Income Tax Tribunal has also prima facie called upon Rahul Gandhi to answer some questions. The ED is only taking this entire issue forward. But viewers, what we saw was quite dramatic. Cities held hostage by mobs of so-called Congress supporters. Later, viewers, it turned out that some of these supporters who were on a satyagraha to protect the Gandhis from the blowback of alleged graft, which completely defeats the purpose of a satyagraha, by the way, viewers, ethically at least. A lot of these supporters didn't even know why they were there. Some of them even admitted to having been paid. Here is what I mean. Let's play that out.
कौन सा ही काम क्या है, महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार है और हुकुमशाह सरकार है, इसलिए हम इसके धिक्कार करने के लिए आए हैं।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है केस के बारे में। जो मैम ने बोला मेरा गला खराब होने के।
अच्छा सर, आपको पता है किस वजह से सम्मान भेजा गया राहुल गांधी? नहीं पता।
जो प्रदर्शन में आए, क्या ये प्रदर्शन किस चीज?
सर मेरे को नहीं पता इसके बारे में, और किसी पूछना।
ये प्रदर्शन के बारे में पता नहीं है, बैठे ही है खाली। हाँ,
कैसे आए?
नहीं, अभी बैठे ही, हम भी यहाँ सुन नहीं रहे हैं क्या बोल रहे हैं, क्या नहीं
सुनने के लिए बैठे, मतलब आपको आइडिया नहीं है?
यहाँ किस लिए आया? किस लिए?
ये झंडा लगाने के लिए 500 बोल के लाई थी मजदूरी पर।
500 500 रुपए देते बोले।
क्यों है ये प्रोटेस्ट?
सर मैम बताएंगे।
मैम बताएंगे, आपको नहीं मालूम। ये क्यों प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं?
ये बिजली के लिए कर रहे हैं, हमें बड़े बिल बहुत ज्यादा
आ रहा है।
महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार,
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है।
सर मैम बताएंगे।
Viewers, let's go straight across to Gaurav Bhatia, who's the Supreme Court advocate and the BJP spokesperson, and Sanjay Jha on the other side. Mr. Bhatia, why do you believe that these protests that have been billed as satyagraha by the Congress are actually a front for sycophancy?
See, first of all, Rahul, a very strong message today has been given by the Enforcement Directorate. The message is simple. Even the Gandhi Parivar has the same right as any ordinary citizen and is not above law. The second message is, it is nobody's birthright to indulge in acts of money laundering and corruption. And as your channel revealed, Rahul, I must congratulate Times Now. It shows that these so-called protesters are also paid. These are paid protesters because the Gandhi Parivar feels, Rahul, that they can buy anything. They can even buy protesters. I just want to, for the benefit of the viewers, place the facts that there is a case of Section 420 cheating against Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, Rahul. And when they moved the High Court and then the Supreme Court rejected the petition filed by Sonia Gandhi and clearly said that we cannot interfere and quash the proceedings because there is prima facie evidence. So today is a day when the Gandhi Parivar, which feels entitled to even summon the investigating agencies during their tenure, is seeing the might of law, the might of an enforcement agency, and this is good for democracy, Rahul.
Mr. Jha, a paid protest to intimidate the ED and defend an impropriety. What is the Congress come to? You've turned Gandhi's favorite mode of protest into a propaganda tool. That's what the BJP is accusing you of, Mr. Jha.
Well, Rahul, I'm aware of this case because I have defended Congress on this for a long time. And I can tell you upfront, this case, which is a complete farce, is burlesque, if I can use that term, is not likely to survive any judicial scrutiny. And, in my opinion, it's an absolutely bizarre onslaught of what I call is the institutional abuse in this country. With due respect to my friend Gaurav, he happens to be an advocate. But if you look into the case, there is no evidence of any money laundering. The company itself is a not-for-profit. In fact, it is established under more transparent laws. There cannot be any dividends. There cannot be any profiteering by any of the shareholders. So let me tell you, like many other things that have been accused to the Congress by the BJP, go back, Rahul, to pre-2014, whether it's Robert Vadra, whether it's 2G, no evidence, nothing at all. See, the BJP is a fast master at headline.
The BJP is asking, are you bringing paid protesters to create some sort of sympathy wave? Rahul can just go in and say you've got no case and come away quietly. Modi did it. I'll show you pictures of Mr. Modi when he went before the SIT in 2010. He didn't go with this huge, big crowd of people.
Well, let me make one simple statement. The Congress has got every legitimate right as a political party to stand up for its leader if it is convinced that the leader is actually being targeted on account of a vicious political vindictiveness. Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
The second point is,
Mr. Bhatia, nothing wrong with that.
I mean, that's democracy, right?
Yes. Okay. So let me just enlighten my friend. When you say it's a non-profit company, Section 25 under the Companies Act, Sanjay Bhai, I must tell you that these are two different things. And there is a Supreme Court case. When there was a change in guard in 2012, the Congress government took power in Himachal Pradesh. There was a Section 25 company. The company was Himachal Pradesh Cricket Association. And you know what they did? They registered an FIR under Section 420. And do you know, it was never a ground before the High Court or the Supreme Court that if you are a Section 25 company, you cannot launder money and there couldn't be a criminal offense of cheating. And another fact, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, both are out on bail in this very matter, and under the Money Laundering Act, if it is a scheduled offense of the IPC and some other acts, then it can also be probed under the Money Laundering Act. My next point, Sanjay Bhai, you should know. Do you know a company called Dotex? Dotex is a company which extended loan of 1 crore to Young Indian even when Young Indian did not have a bank account. Can you imagine? Zero assets but 1 crore loan extended. Why? Can you answer that? Second question. Let me tell you that AJL had already allotted all the entire shareholding to Young Indian even before this 50 lakh payment was made, which was after the loan was made from Dotex. Why?
Quick response.
Sanjay Bhai, you should tell us.
Quick response. I don't have much more time. 1 minute. Yes.
Rahul, let me tell you, there's no need for me to get into all the nitty-gritties because the lawyers will argue that in the courts. But a simple argument which the BJP has made, which is so ridiculous that it doesn't even deserve or merit any attention, is that the company Young Indian is actually a fraudulent company. How can it be a fraudulent company? All its transactions are in the public domain, number one. Number two, just because you're a not-for-profit company doesn't mean that you're not entitled to
the matter
make
is sub
income.
judice, so I don't want to get into this technical debate. All I'm saying, viewers, is if you're clean, I don't know why you would need to inundate the courts with what appears to be quite an orchestrated protest. I don't know why. Sanjay Jha says it's because every political party has a right and their workers have a right to stand in solidarity with their leaders. Viewers, I leave it to you to decide. News are coming up with Navika Kumar.
Times now. Action begins here.
क्या पूछूं आपसे कि आपका जो स्टे था कांग्रेस पार्टी में, ये शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट था कि हॉट एंड सावर था?
जब जब राजनीति में कोई फैसले होते हैं मैडम जी, तब एक बात बहुत तय होती है कि लोगों के हित के लिए, जनता की सेवा के लिए ये फैसला होना चाहिए, और उसी को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया गया था। लेकिन जहां गए, जिस कांग्रेस पार्टी पर भरोसा किया, उनके नेताओं पर जो भरोसा किया, उससे एक बात तो तय हो गई थी कि ना ये जन सेवा करना चाहते हैं और ना कोई करता है उसको रोकने का काम करते हैं। जो जन सेवा करना चाहता है उसको रोक दो, हम नहीं करना चाहते तो हमारे साथ जुड़ जाओ। और ये काम हम नहीं कर सकते थे। हम आंदोलन के जरिए निकले थे, लोगों ने हम पर उम्मीद देखी थी, हम पर भरोसा किया था, और हमने कहीं ना कहीं गुजरात के भीतर एक अच्छी उम्मीद को खड़ा करने का काम किया था, जो कांग्रेस को इनडायरेक्टली डायरेक्टली 2017 में फायदा किया था और मजबूत विपक्ष की भूमिका में आई थी। लेकिन आज कहां हुआ, ना आपको मीटिंग में बुलाते हैं, आपको वर्किंग प्रेसिडेंट बना दिया, लेकिन कोई काम आपका तय ना किया। कहीं ना कहीं सिर्फ अपमान। और हमारे परिवार में और हमारे कई साथी कहते हैं कि अगर जहां सम्मान ना हो वहां अपमान नहीं होना चाहिए।
तो हार्दिक जी, ये सब आपको पहले से पता नहीं था? क्योंकि 2017 आप पॉलिटिक्स में आए थे और 2019 का चुनाव हुआ था, आप बहुत जगह साथ साथ घूमे थे क्योंकि आपने फॉर्मली कांग्रेस पार्टी ज्वाइन कर ली थी। और हमेशा से लोग यही कहते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी ओन्ड बाय एक गांधी परिवार है। तो आपको पहले ये पता नहीं था या अंदर जाके कुछ ऐसा पता चला जो आप चौंक गए और इतना सरप्राइज हो गए?
देखिए नविका जी, मैं 2019 में पार्टी ज्वाइन किया था। 2015 से लेकर 2019 तक मैं इंडिपेंडेंट रहा।
Times now. Action begins here.
For the last 2 years, the world has been relentlessly fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. As the countries across the globe prioritize vaccinations to keep the next wave of COVID at bay, India also rolled out precautionary jabs this year to achieve herd immunity against the virus. While COVID has not risen substantially in India in the last few months, the pandemic has not yet faded. India has remained on guard, but vaccination among children remains low and is significantly less talked about.
Immunizing the kids will not only check the spread of the asymptomatic infections, who can act as silent hosts for the virus, and which will lead to again spread in the society, but again it can also mitigate the severity, the intensity of the infection in children. Now that the schools have reopened, it is very important that the children are vaccinated. A lot of parents are still hesitant about sending the children to school, but definitely children should no longer stay at home. They should definitely go to school. And so to vaccinate them, by vaccinating them, we can allay this fear in the parents' mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, today was a day the Congress stayed in headlines for more hours than they perhaps have done even in election times. Rahul Gandhi's questioning by the Enforcement Directorate ended up being a big get-together for the grand old party. It all began at 10:40 a.m. this morning when the Gandhi scion left his residence at Tughlaq Lane. In another 10 minutes, Rahul Gandhi had reached 24 Akbar Road, the Congress party's headquarters, where the Congress had all leaders coming in and supporters were waiting for their leader. The show of solidarity was there for everyone to see. Senior Congress leaders, their MPs, spokespersons, and even the two chief ministers that they have left in Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan were there at the Congress party's headquarters. After a quick chat began what the Congress calls a satyagrah, because Rahul Gandhi was involved. Mahatma Gandhi's term was taken almost with rights. A 1.5 kilometer long march from the Congress office to the Enforcement Directorate headquarters then took place. Entire central Delhi being choked, all roads being blocked was a small matter that clearly didn't matter to the Congress party. The support and the show of solidarity was with family in tow as well. While Priyanka Gandhi Vadra walked alongside her brother, Rahul Gandhi's brother-in-law, Robert Vadra, also was seen speaking to the media, giving Rahul Gandhi a certificate of innocence. A little after 11 is when Rahul Gandhi reached the ED office and has been there ever since. In fact, even as we speak. The marathon grilling continues for the 10th hour at this moment, except the short break of 90 minutes which was given to him by the agency for lunch at 2:30 this afternoon, in which time he visited his mother Sonia Gandhi at the Gangaram hospital as well. Now, Congress leaders are still waiting for Rahul Gandhi to return to the Congress headquarters after the long day of questioning. But through the day, some of those very leaders left the party completely embarrassed, like the chief minister, like the chief of the Youth Congress, who was seen running for cover after being struck by a Delhi policeman during the protest. Look at those visuals on your screen. He was just stopped, and there he ran, almost giving PT Usha a run for her money. And then, of course, there was former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Digvijay Singh, who seemed more interested to know attendance kahan lag rahi hai. Listen in to him.
दिग्विजय सिंह जी है यहाँ पर। दिग्विजय सिंह जी, आप आए हैं कि क्या आप कुछ
भाई हाजिरी कहाँ लिखाना है? हाजिरी अंदर है।
आप कुछ कहेंगे?
Across the country, Times Now found out that many of these so-called Congress protesters were either paid, according to their own admission, for hitting the streets, or they didn't even know why they were there out on the streets. Take a look at this comedy of errors that hit the Congress party today.
कौन सा ही काम क्या है, महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार ने और हुकुमशाह सरकार है, इसलिए हम इसके धिक्कार करने के लिए आए हैं।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है केस के बारे में। जो मैम ने बोला मेरा गला खराब होने के बाद।
अच्छा सर, आपको पता है किस वजह से सम्मान भेजा गया राहुल गांधी? नहीं पता।
जो प्रदर्शन में आए, क्या ये प्रदर्शन किस चीज?
सर मेरे को नहीं पता इसके बारे में, और किसी पूछना।
ये प्रदर्शन के बारे में पता नहीं है, बैठे ही है खाली। हाँ,
कैसे आए?
नहीं अभी बैठे ही, हम भी यहाँ सुन नहीं रहे हैं क्या बोल रहे हैं क्या नहीं।
सुनने के लिए बैठे, मतलब आपको आइडिया नहीं है?
यहाँ किस लिए आया? किस लिए आया?
ये झंडा लगाने के लिए 500 बोल के लाई थी मजदूरी पर।
500 रुपए देते बोले।
क्यों है ये प्रोटेस्ट?
मैम बताएंगे।
मैम बताएंगे, आपको नहीं मालूम ये क्यों प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं?
ये बिजली के लिए कर रहे हैं। हमें बड़े बिल बहुत ज्यादा
आ रहा है।
महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है। मैम बताएंगे।
Now, the spectacle aside, the Gandhis face some very serious question. The Enforcement Directorate was waiting to ask Rahul Gandhi about the Young Indian, how it was formed, how much money was used to set it up, how and where the funds really came up from, and how did the takeover of Young Indian, which took over Associated Journals Limited, really happen. An important aspect of the questioning was the loan from Dotex Private Limited, a Kolkata-based company that was allegedly involved in some entry operations, cash given and 1 crore loan without security given to the Gandhis. Rahul Gandhi also was asked questions by 2 assistant directors of the Enforcement Directorate, as we understand, on why this loan was provided to Young Indian. Also, the questions that were asked were, how did the Congress party give 90 crores as loan to AJL, and why did the company, which had so many assets, did not return that 90 crores, and how did the Young Indian acquire this in just 50 lakh rupees? These are the questions that were posed. The BJP also asked some of these questions as Union Minister Smriti Irani held a press conference and put out 5 charges against Rahul Gandhi. Listen in.
What is Rahul Gandhi's relationship, or the Gandhi family's relationship, with Dotex Merchandise Private Limited? Mr. Gandhi, is it true Dotex Merchandise Private Limited is one of the several companies of a Hawala entry operator based out of Kolkata, where in lieu of cash, checks are given? Mr. Gandhi, is it true that Dotex merchandise's transactions have been red flagged for suspicious transactions by the Financial Intelligence Unit.
And that brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Is this so-called satyagrah over the investigation justified? That's the question and the debate. Hashtag ED versus Rahul. The debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Dr. Sambit Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP, R. Rajagopalan, Senior Journalist, Karan Verma, Author, Shashi Panja, Minister in charge of the Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare and National Spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, Advocate Kapil Madan, Political Analyst, and also my friend Tehseen Poonawala, Political Analyst. But before I go across to all my panelists, I have some breaking news coming in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Congress party may want us to believe that this is an old case and the BJP via its agencies is trying to bay for Rahul Gandhi's blood only for vendetta politics. But I want to tonight blow off the lid over this case, which is not about a Hawala transaction. In fact, according to our sources, this is a much more serious case than just the 1 crore of Hawala transaction. What our sources are telling us is that there is a transaction which has been called surreptitious, and it has also been called virtually illegal, clandestine and surreptitious by the division bench of the Delhi High Court. And why it is surreptitious is because a company that pays 50 lakhs gets a company which has a 90 crore loan. Now, number one, the 90 crore loan was given to Associated Journals from the Congress party. The Congress party is not a bank or a commercial entity. It's a political party. It cannot be giving commercial loans to any entity, so says the Income Tax Department as well as the Enforcement Directorate. And should Congress party actually lose its income tax exemption on this is a case that is separately going on. Now, the other case is that a company like AJL, which owned 2010 value 800 crore worth of buildings and assets, 800 crores in 2010, today valued at over 2,000 crores, could not return a loan of 90 crores back to the Congress party. So a case was made out that there will be a new company that will acquire this loan amount which AJL cannot repay. In comes the entry of Young Indian, and Young Indian buys for 50 lakh rupees all this property which is today accounted for in about 2,000 crores. And then this is called surreptitious and clandestine takeover, and therefore when there is a section 420 and 120B of cheating, then this becomes property or money which is proceeds of a crime, and that is where section 3 of the PMLA Act comes in, which clearly says the offense of money laundering includes if any person directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assist or knowingly is partly or actually involved in any process or activities connected with any property derived or obtained as a result of criminal activities as defined in the PMLA case. So why is the Congress party only making this a case of Hawala when it knows it owns these properties? And I can actually show you the buildings that they own which have been rented out, and we've shown this to our viewers who are regular watchers of the Newshour. These buildings rented out to big commercial entities, money comes in from them, rental money, and that's not NGO activity for which these properties had been leased out to AJL. So that is the proceeds of crime, and that is the money laundering case against the Congress party's Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. So that is the big breaking news that we are getting. And Dr. Sombit Patra, I want to ask you, should these questions not be asked of Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Because there were posters that were put out which said Rahul Gandhi jhukega nahi. I want to ask you, these questions of money transactions cannot be asked to him, and were these protests on the streets of India because they wanted to pressurize the investigation department, the ED?
Sinavika, thank you for having me. This is a very important debate, and we all have been following this since, I would say, since 2012, very intently. Remember, as far as the word satyagraha is concerned, Congress trying to celebrate corruption and trying to use the word satyagraha as an insult on Mahatma Gandhi is an insult to the word satyagraha itself. I mean, what Congress was trying to do is protect the first family of the Congress party, the Gandhis, from corruption. Trying to protect them from the law of the land. Are they above the law of the land? Such is the sense of entitlement. Just imagine, AJL is not a Congress's asset. AJL was the asset of 5,000 freedom fighters of this country. It was not even the asset of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister of India. Subsequently, in 2008, in fact, there were 1,057 shareholders. The first thing is, without the knowledge of the shareholders, remember Shanti Bhushan, the former law minister, and Markandesh Katju, the justice, in fact, had written letters to this regard, that all these 1,057 shareholders were not consulted, and without their knowledge, 99% of share of AJL was transferred to Young India, which was literally possessed by Sonia and Rahul. 76% of the stake of the share lying in these two hands, Sonia and Rahul. So it's but natural that these questions will be asked. The question has been asked in the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court asks, if the AJL had to clear 90 crores, you were in possession of crores of properties, why didn't you liquidate a small part of your property and pay off the loan, rather than transferring all your 99.9% of share to Young India Company? This is what the Delhi High Court has asked. As far as the posters of Rahul jhukega nahi, so there is some kind of attraction nowadays, some kind of attachment with this Pushpa dialogue, because I was watching many of these Congress workers, Congress top leaders, I mean, doing this typical Pushpa act and saying that Rahul jhukega nahi. सही बात है, काश राहुल फ्लावर ही होता, फायर नहीं होता. राहुल तो वो फायर है जो अपने घर को ही जला रहा है. अगर वो फ्लावर होता तो कम से कम कांग्रेस ब्लूम तो करता. खुद अपने फायर से राहुल अपने घर में आग लगा रहा है. इसलिए जो कांग्रेस पार्टी राहुल पे इतरा रही है, वो इतराना बंद करे, ईडी के सामने अपने आप को प्रस्तुत करे.
According to latest information that we are getting from the Enforcement Directorate, the questioning for Rahul Gandhi is over in the 10th hour. We are expecting that Rahul Gandhi will be released in a bit from now, and we'll bring you those visuals from Enforcement Directorate, where our reporters are standing by to get some leads on what he was asked while he was there at the Enforcement Directorate. Tehseen Poonawalla, the charges are there. If you or I were taxpayers, and if the income tax department called us, or if you or I are summoned for traffic violations, normally we just have to go comply with what is asked of us and go and answer a few questions and hope that we were on the right side of the law. What is Mr. Rahul Gandhi scared of? Just a few questions?
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for having me on the show. Good evening to all my fellow panelists, to all your viewers, and it's good to see Dr. Patra back on the debate. And of course, my friend Raj Gopalanji, I wish him very good health. Two very quick points. Just before I answer everything technically that you raised, and they were very valid points that you raised. Two very quick points. The current ED director has been given an illegal extension by Narendra Modi ji after the Supreme Court in a written judgment said he cannot get an extension.
That point matter also was in the courts, has been judged, but why don't we speak?
It's not been judged.
Okay.
The matter is up to this.
Okay.
But just I want to speak on the technical
parts. Go to the court for that. My question is completely different.
Have gone. But I just wanted to start with that preface. Have gone to the court. The ED director is illegally occupying his post. I just want to speak on the technical issues that you had raised. Number one, the issue that was raised is, can a political party give a loan to any entity? That has been cleared by the Election Commission on 6th November 2012. In its judgment, it writes to, and it answers Subramaniam Swamy, the man raising this case, that the political party has absolutely all rights to give money as a loan to any entity. Now the matter is in the court. The court will decide, in the income tax, which in my opinion will lead to nowhere because the Election Commission is the guiding force for a political party.
Sorry,
so the Election Commission has ruled
this
on
matter itself. Tehseen Poonawalla, do not mislead viewers. Do not mislead viewers. This matter has gone to a single judge bench in the Delhi High Court and a division bench. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kapil Madan, that this matter where the Congress party or Rahul Gandhi have got no relief has been settled for now till the Supreme Court comes out with a verdict.
But that is in the income tax matter.
It is about young Indian taking over. It is about young Indian taking over AJL. Tehseen Poonawalla.
I know the questions. Allow me to answer.
Yes.
If you keep interrupting, I cannot. Yes, you're right. The matter is sub judice in the High Court and Supreme Court. That is the income tax demanding a tax on this loan. On this particular amount. That is a separate issue. You specifically said the illegality of a political party giving money. That has been ruled in favor of the Congress party. Now,
that has been ruled in favor by the Election Commission, but being challenged in the courts.
Which is the guiding authority.
Yes.
That matter.
But it's being challenged in the court, so let's wait. Let's hold on to that. Let's hold on to that.
Now let's go to the second point. So prima facie side, they've got a victory. Now, whatever the courts decide. Now, second point. Your very important contention was, could you, or the courts are, could AGL not sell off some of the assets that they have to repay this loan?
No, I did not use the word sell off. I know where you are leading me. Anybody who owns assets worth 800 crore doesn't need to sell it. It can also create an SPV and, get banks to give them loans.
Exactly. Thank you. And that's exactly what happened. The 1 crore loan that Ms. Irani was referring to, again, a massive lie told on all channels was a loan given by check, returned by check with 14% interest. So yes, with a 5 lakh paid up capital, a 50 lakh loan, converting equity to debt, something that the government of India, Narendra Modi, did in the case of Idea Vodafone. He converted debt to equity. Is a simple procedure. Now I reverse this. For Idea Vodafone, should Narendra Modi be sent to jail for converting debt to equity of the government of India, of your taxpayer money and my taxpayer money? And in this particular case, assets could not be sold because it's a Section 25 not-for-profit
Assets
company.
Could not be sold. And AJL was supposed to be a no-profit, no-loss, no-profit, no-loss organizations. And please cut to the pictures. The no-profit, no-loss buildings and assets owned by AJL. What do they do today? Look at those visuals, ladies and gentlemen. AJL house where rent, people, at least one board that I can see on that building is JSW, certainly not involved in NGO activity. I don't know, but I think it's a commercial property and rent is coming in. Tehseen Poonawalla, I'm not the investigation agency. These were the questions that would be asked by the ED. My question is, no. 1 minute, hold on. Karan Verma, I'm only asking a question. 800 crore की property जिसका value 2000 crore है, that is bought through buying of a 90 crore loan by a company that pays 50 lakh rupees. And that 50 lakh rupees ostensibly it doesn't own. It took a loan of 1 crore from Dotex to buy, to give 50 lakhs out of it to buy 90 crores and in turn got 2000 crores worth of assets.
No, sorry.
1 minute, Karan Verma. Would you not think that there were questions that were in order? And you and I have, even if we are normal TDS taxpayers, we get scrutiny requests, we comply with them, whatever questions are asked. Where is the problem? Why is Mr. Rahul Gandhi not wanting to respond to questions? Why is the Congress party making a tamasha out of the questions that were to be asked? I don't understand.
Just one clarification, 90 crores was paid. It was paid as salaries, as VRS and as government taxes. It was paid.
Tehseen, would you please let me speak now?
I will, but one second, the question is wrong. You can answer the same question.
Question is never wrong. Question is never wrong.
Physically given.
Question is right.
Was paid.
Answer. आंसर गलत ना हो जाए तहसीन पूनावाला. Agencies and courts will decide whether the answer is right or not. I can ask any question, please.
But 90 crores was paid. When you say it wasn't paid, it's incorrect. It was paid. It was paid as salary. And government.
I'm saying it was not repaid to the Congress party.
That's right, but it was paid.
Now, Tehsin, would you please?
It was not repaid. You know, Karan Verma, you and I have studied economics, but he wants to teach us some new financial commercial transactions wherein 90 crore loan is given and the company along with the age of 2000 crore can be taken over by giving 50 lakh rupees. Ab mujhe, you know, this is the broad sums that I am saying. And this broad sums is being said is satyagrah. And ye sawal mat pucho.
Not just that, Navika. What is so surprising is that the magistrate, the metropolitan magistrate, he said it in as many words. I mean, even if we just follow the legal proceedings, he said that the Young India Limited is a sham of an entity and prima facie, it looks a very strong case, which is when they had to get a bail. Then the income tax authority come up and they say that Mr. Rahul Gandhi concealed income in 2011-12 and it issues a notice. Now Mr. Rahul Gandhi approaches the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court quashes their plea and allows the income tax authority to go ahead. They then go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also says that no, the income tax is fully within its purview to reassess your income for 2011-12. I mean, talk about judicial scrutiny, talk about a long rope. They have got everything and still they have the gall to call it political vendetta or to have Tehsin in the studio saying that no, it's not a case. It is a watertight case, Navika. And you know, today was supposed to be the relaunch of Rahul Gandhi with the fanfare. But I'm afraid, Srinivas stole the limelight from Rahul Gandhi. Srinivas actually stole the limelight. I mean, his athletic prowess. Navika, you have to give it to him. His athletic prowess are today leading the roost even ahead of Rahul Gandhi's wit. So, for me, the man of the moment is Srinivas. And second is Tehsin, who is defending the indefensible here, sitting in the studio.
He's just proved my point correct. He's comparing an income tax case to a case of money laundering. That shows how much knowledge of income tax of economics.
My friend, Tehsin Poonawalla, I don't know how much you know the PMLA case, but advocate Kapil Madan is with us, and advocate Kapil Madan, I want to just ask you.
How does money laundering happen if money is not laundered? The money comes in by check, is paid by 14%.
My dear friend, that is the problem. That is the problem, and therefore, may I, for the uninitiated, may I just read this sentence, which I read it once before, but advocate Kapil Madan. Money laundering does not necessarily mean that there is only a hawala transaction or check and cash transaction. May I tell you that the PMLA clearly says that offense of money laundering in Section 3 includes if any person directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assist or knowingly is a party to a transaction which is concerned with criminal activities. And the court has said that the takeover of Young Indian and AJL by Young Indian was not prima facie a case of, it says it is a surreptitious and clandestine transaction, which is what is the matter of investigation. So why is the Congress party so scared to face these questions and answer them before the Enforcement Directorate? Dar kis baat ka hai bhai?
Navika ji, I will make two quick response here. My fellow panelist here, Karan Verma, he made some remark about Srinivas Bibi. I just wanted to remind him he's the same man who was on road जब ये बीजेपी के लोग सब और perhaps Karan Verma भी जब शायद कोविड की वेव के अंदर घर में दुबके बैठे हुए थे, he was on the road supplying oxygen, helping people with beds.
All right.
And
we showed those visuals then.
But you showed.
Kapil Madan, we showed those visuals then when it was contextual. Today we will show the visuals of today. I'm not running a history chapter here.
No, that's all right. But let me remind him, earn the right to mock a man who was saving lives.
Kapil, I am appreciating him. When did I criticize him?
आप शायद अपने घर में दुब के बैठे हुए थे, तो वो रोड पे थे। पहली चीज ये। दूसरी चीज, मिस्टर पात्रा इज
नहीं, बहुत अच्छी बात है। आप कहां बैठे थे?
लेट मी नाउ रिस्पॉन्ड। लेट मी रिस्पॉन्ड। मैं भी सड़कों पे था, ठीक है, और आपको सर्टिफिकेट देने की जरूरत नहीं, बट आप तो दुबके हुए बैठे हुए थे, और कोई किसी को मौक नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं यहाँ।
आप दे रहे हो सर सर्टिफिकेट? मैं तो दे नहीं रहा हूं सर्टिफिकेट।
ना आपने दिया अभी, मैं तो आपका जवाब दे रहा था आपको। Anyways, let me come to the point.
What did he say wrong? Kapil Madan, those visuals are there, and we can see him sprinting. That is the only thing said. And we also showed you the soundbite of Digvijay Singh, who said हाजिरी कहाँ लिखवाना है, गांधी दरबार में हाजिरी कहाँ लिखवाना है।
नाविका जी,
I am actually impressed by their dedication to Rahul Gandhi.
नाविका जी, आप वो भी दिखाएं जब वहां पे लीडर्स को मैन हैंडल किया गया, सीनियर लीडर्स की शर्ट्स फटी गई, उनको लेटा के उनको पुलिस वैन्स के अंदर डाला गया, जीप्स के अंदर डाला गया। आप उसकी बात नहीं करेंगे, बट दैट्स ऑल राइट। यू डोंट वांट टू डू दैट। लेट्स डोंट डू दैट।
Mr. Kapil Madan, I've just seen a tweet by Mr. P. Chidambaram, who says he has a suspected hairline fracture. Sad, but the fact is, the moot question is, why did they all come onto the streets, sir? It was only a few questions that the ED wanted to ask. Why did you all descend on the streets?
No, let me respond. Now let me respond. I will also like to make a small remark. Mr. Patra is here. Mr. Patra has very responsibly used the word corruption. I challenge Mr. Patra here on national TV to show a FIR or a document, any court order where the sections of Prevention of Corruption Act are there. I am challenging him on national TV. Mr. Patra, please show. You said that there was corruption. You please show Prevention of Corruption Act is there.
Sambit Patra. Okay, rapid fire between Sambit Patra and Kapil Madan.
First and foremost, let me just read out certain statements from the High Court's observations. And remember, the High Court mentions that these are prima facie observations. Did I shout in the middle of any of the panelists, Navika? I mean, this kind of hooliganism, this kind of road politics, at least they can do it outside of the studios. In the studio, we can be civil. Thank you. Navika, what does the High Court say? The High Court says it also needs to be answered as to why the genuine shareholders were marginalized in the extraordinary general meeting, which was attended by just 7 shareholders. Is it not criminal misappropriation of Congress party's funds? Questions the High Court. The main persons who were instrumental in allegedly siphoning of political funds were the recipients of the assignment of the huge debt of the Congress party, and were all the same persons who had clandestinely acquired the control of the AGI. All this smacks of criminality. All this smacks of criminality. Sir, please don't have to shout like this, sir. You are not a, you are,
no, I'm not shouting.
Well, sir, if you feel that Rahul Gandhi is not corrupt, please be cool. At least don't have to shout like this. Be cool, sir. Let the people listen to our arguments.
Your sitting governor,
Navika, tell this person not to shout like this. He will come out of the camera. आप हिलिए मत, आराम से बैठिए, मुझे कंप्लीट करने दीजिए, उसके बाद हिल डुल के बोलिएगा। अभी शांति से सुन लीजिए। Just a second, Navika, ask him not to shout. This is not the way. Navika, is it not true that the mother and the son, both of them are out on bail? Is it that the Bharatiya Janata Party has made up a case? Is it not then that they're just a step away from the jail and out on bail? Who gave them the bail? The court of this country. The trial court heard them. The trial court rejected their squashing petition. The Delhi High Court has in fact commented on criminality of it. They went to the Supreme Court. Leave aside Mr. Madan over here. Kapil Sibal, the ace lawyer of their party, once upon a time, ace lawyer of their party, Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, all of them went and represented the case in front of the Supreme Court, saying that we want to quash this case. And what did the Supreme Court say? This is the Indian Express that I read out on 3rd of February 2016, stating that it finds no justification in quashing the criminal prosecution of the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, who is accused number 1, and Vice President Rahul Gandhi, who is accused number 2 in the National Herald case. The Supreme Court on Friday held that the trial against them shall proceed. The trial against accused number 1 Sonia Gandhi and accused number 2 Rahul Gandhi shall proceed. These were the words of the Supreme Court of India. Is the Gandhi family supremer than the Supreme Court of India? Do they stand in a higher pedestal?
Quick response, Kapil Madan, because I have to go across to the Enforcement Directorate where my colleague Bhaptosh is standing by. Quick response, rebut by you. 30 seconds.
नाविका जी एक बड़ी फेमस और बड़ी ह्यूमरस मूवी थी फुकरे, उसमें एक बड़ा अच्छा डायलॉग था, उनसे पूछो कि आपका नाम क्या है, वो कहते थे मैं गुड़गांव जा रहा हूँ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ सेक्शन दिखाओ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन
ह्यूमरस क्या हो सकती है? पूरा लाइफ ही राहुल गांधी का ह्यूमर
मैं बोल रहा हूँ
I don't know Kapil Madan, you know,
आपने नहीं बताया,
नहीं Kapil Madan, I don't know, आपने फुकरे का एग्जांपल दिया है. मैं सिर्फ ये कहूंगी कि young Indian buying AJL which has 2,000 crore worth of properties is actually a फुकरे transaction. 50 लाख में 2,000 crore मिल गया, ये फुकरे ट्रांजैक्शन. नेम केम फ्रॉम यू, इट्स नॉट माय इमेजिनेशन. all the kudos for this goes to you. How could you think of fukre at this point in time? Young Indian was really a fukra then. 50 lakhs, 1 crore loan with no security, and then buys a company which has 2,000 crores of assets. Well, I'm going across to Bhaptosh Singh joining me on the news hour. Bhaptosh, what's the latest? Rahul Gandhi, did you get any visuals of him leaving, or was he whisked out of the Enforcement Directorate office? And any details on what questions and whether he will be questioned again?
Navika ma'am, he in fact has sat in his car and in the cavalcade, and it would be possible that we will soon get his visuals. Remember, this new building of Enforcement Directorate is heavily guarded, heavily fortified. In fact, earlier in the morning when we were standing here, this entire stretch was completely barricaded. There were a large number of police personnel and all cars were being checked, but the security has completely been scaled down. Nearly for 9 hours he was questioned here, and at that point of time no one was allowed to come here. There was also a protest by the Congress senior leaders. Some of them were in fact detained and taken to Tughlaq Road police station. Remember, in this case, this is for the first time that Gandhis have been questioned by any federal probe agency. So it was a big day not only for Gandhis but also for any probe agency in the country. In this particular case, Rahul Gandhi was in fact questioned under section 50 of PMLA. One has to write down his answer, and there were at least 2 assistant directors who questioned him. One of the assistant director is the investigating officer of this case. As you all know that this case dates back to nearly a decade when private prosecution complaints were filed before a metropolitan magistrate, and then Rahul Gandhi's own income tax return of 2010-2011 was taken into consideration by the income tax department. He claimed that his income tax return was around 68 lakh rupees, which was then probed by the income tax investigation department, which said that if we count into the fact that you were director of Young India, then your income is a whopping 154 crore rupees. So there are several subset of this entire case, and it's now being said that Rahul Gandhi in fact went to the Supreme Court, and he in fact challenged this before the High Court at both the forums. He lost the case. So it's in this particular case that Enforcement Directorate started questioning Oscar Fernandez as well as Motilal Vora, and then it also last month questioned Pawan Bansal as well as Mallikarjun Kharge.
Any details,
he was in fact issued first,
when he is likely to be called again? Any details on that?
Was issued on 13th of June. Enforcement Directorate has also issued a summon for Sonia Gandhi for 23rd of June.
All right. Thank you, Bhaptosh, for that update. Mr. Rajagopalan, I want to come back to the debate, and I want to ask you. I'm sorry, before I come to you, let me get in Shashi Panja. Shashi Panja, do you think that it's wrong of the investigation agencies to ask questions? Because this case has been going on for a long time. There are questions that have been raised in court. The matter is sub judice. And as the process goes, it takes long in our country to get to any conclusion. But in the procedure, if there is questioning, should investigating agencies now be scared of this kind of a public demonstration? Is this only to put pressure on agencies?
I don't know how easy it is.
as to why you are mentioning this is a surprise to me, is it's so easy to pressurize the CBI or ED by mere demonstration. So, placing this question, I don't think is logical enough. And by placing such a question, are you really doubting the credibility or, the strength of the CBI or ED? Or are you actually also believing in the fact that if a matter which is decade old, why did it take so long? What was happening in between?
I've got some breaking news coming in, ma'am. I'll just interrupt you for a second. Bhavtosh standing by. Bhavtosh, we understand he's been summoned again. Rahul Gandhi has been summoned again tomorrow. The questioning is not over yet. We understand that Enforcement Directorate has summoned Rahul Gandhi yet again tomorrow for another round of questioning. And that is the latest information that we are getting. Rahul Gandhi is leaving office, but can we just update the breaking plate and put it down that Rahul Gandhi has been summoned tomorrow, because that's the information we are getting. Bhavtosh, can you give us the latest information?
Navika ma'am, it's confirmed by sources within Enforcement Directorate that even as the questioning of Rahul Gandhi got over after 9 hours, he has been told to appear before the Enforcement Directorate again tomorrow. So one can expect another round of political slugfest tomorrow, as a Congress leader who had gathered here for Rahul Gandhi will again, one can expect a challenge not only the Enforcement Directorate, but there would be a war of words between BJP and Congress. Remember, this case, as we have been telling our viewers, is an old case that goes back at least a decade long, and this entire case revolves around the manner in which
he's likely to be before the investigation officers tomorrow. Same as today, 11 o'clock.
Well, it's around 11 a.m. Again. Yes, Navika, around 11 a.m. Again tomorrow. That's the same time as today. Rahul Gandhi arrived here at 11:10, and it's being said that again at 11 a.m. he has been summoned. So one can expect again a 9 to 10 hours of questioning. So this case will continue to haunt Gandhis. This is the first time that Rahul Gandhi was ever questioned by a federal probe agency. The extended family of Gandhis have been questioned. Robert Vadra was questioned in January 2019, but that was the extended family of Gandhis who have been questioned. But this is the first time that Rahul Gandhi himself has been questioned, and Sonia Gandhi has been summoned for 23rd
back
January,
to Ms. Shashi Panja. Ms. Shashi Panja, investigation continues for the second day tomorrow. Absolutely. And you're saying it doesn't mean pressure if they demonstrate.
No. Where's the pressure then? If CBI has again recalled for questioning tomorrow, so where's the pressure? I mean, CBI or ED, whichever is doing its work, it should be. You see, there was 9 hours of close questioning. Bhavtosh is there at the spot. I wonder how we at the studios come to know what questions were being asked or what questions will be asked. Did CBI do a press briefing after the questioning? But look at the number of questions which have come up in the studio. Allow them to do it. Allow ED to investigate. So it's not so easy or to pressurize. And why are we speculating? I mean, who are we to? So what's the point of ED doing any kind of such investigation? You see, the common perception is this, that anybody, I'm not talking about Congress, it's all over the country, the common perception of us maybe as opposition parties, that whoever has been critical of the Modi government has been harassed by the agencies. And also, none less than the Chief Justice, N.V. Ramanna, has also said about the probe agencies that they should not allow any authoritarian tendencies to creep in. You see, the police and the investigative agencies, when I quote this, may have de facto legitimacy, but yet, as institutions, they still have to gain social legitimacy. And of course, in the beginning, I much appreciate the panelist when he did mention, when he started, as in Poonawalla, I think, that the government passed the very significant CBC amendment bill regarding extension of the tenure of the CBI and the ED, the chiefs of it came in as an ordinance. And in fact, even Trinamool Congress and our MP, did oppose the introduction of this bill on 3rd of December in 2021 in Parliament. So what we are trying to say is the institutions must keep its credibility. And if I narrate the West Bengal experience, if I narrate how these harassments have been timed with the elections.
Dr. Patra, the charge against you is that you are using agencies at your whims and fancies against opposition parties. Respond to that charge. Both the Congress and other opposition parties like the TMC have raised it.
I'm amused. I'm amused that the ones who have DD are talking about the ED harassing people. I mean, look at the harassment that people in Bengal are facing under DD today. I mean, every now and then we look about the vendetta politics in Bengal. But leaving aside as it may be, let's come to the core issue. Over here, we were talking about the National Herald case, and I have already said that 3 layers of judicial scrutiny. We have seen the judicial scrutiny of the lower court, the judicial scrutiny by the Delhi High Court, and the judicial scrutiny by the Supreme Court in this case. And most importantly, I would like to mention in this case of National Herald that as far as the ED is concerned, this is a separate case. 2011, 2012, income tax. In fact, Rahul Gandhi did not declare his income coming from the Young India. He did not show that he was a director of Young India Private Limited. Astonishingly, the assessment that he had given was a meager 68 lakh rupees that he was earning, while later it was reflective of 154 crore rupees. So it's but natural that the income tax and subsequently the ED have questioned Rahul Gandhi in case of PMLA. As far as National Herald case is concerned, just 4 people. Imagine in simplistic term, if I'm supposed to answer this, imagine there is a Motilal Vohra who is the chairman of AJL. There is a Motilal Vohra who is the treasurer of the Congress party under Sonia Gandhi, who is the president. And there is a Motilal Vohra with 12% shareholding in the Young India company. So Motilal Vohra is everywhere. Motilal Vohra of AJL goes and talks to the Motilal Vohra of the Congress treasury and says that please give me 90 crore loan. So Motilal Vohra of Congress party grants 90 crore loan to Motilal Vohra of AJL. And then Motilal Vohra of Young India goes to Motilal Vohra of AJL and says, Motilal Vohra ji, we have planned that since you have a loan of 90 crore, you give us the assets and we will in fact take up your loan. So Motilal Vohra of AJL gives all the loans to the Motilal Vohra of Young India, and along with the loans, they transferred the property worth 2,000 to 5,000 crore to Motilal Vohra and Rahul and Sonia Gandhi of Young India. And then Motilal Vohra, upon instruction of Sonia Gandhi of Young India, goes to the Motilal Vohra of the Congress Treasury bench and says that, okay, Mr. Treasurer Motilal Vohra, now in fact dispense off with the loan that you had given to the Motilal Vohra of AJL. So finally Motilal Vohra of Congress party says, well, now I write off the loan of AJL Motilal Vohra.
Respond, Tehseen. I'm coming to you, Rajgopalanji.
It's a very simple answer. 2 things. Just one thing, that in this particular case of the AJL and Young India, how can Rahul Gandhi ji show the income that he's received when in actuality a Section 25 company, you cannot take the assets home. There is no profits to take home. So there is no income. Therefore, this assessment by the income tax is absolutely wrong. Number 2, the
no
BJP
profits
itself.
To take home. No profits to take home. Hold on to that thought. I'll show you visuals of the non-profit activities. JSW rental, I don't know, other companies have not put it out. Rajagopalan ji, no profit activity, big buildings and private entities renting, but no profit is being made, so don't ask any question to Rahul Gandhi.
But that's the objectives of the company.
1 minute.
That's the objectives of the company. You can't take it home.
अरे जज जूरी फैसला आप नहीं है तहसीन
तो आप कैसे कर रहे हो?
आप नहीं है
मैं तो हूं नहीं, तो आप कैसे कर रहे हो?
You go with Rahul Gandhi and answer these questions in Enforcement Directorate. Allow Mr. Rajagopalan to respond. Mr. Rajagopalan.
Tomorrow, Rahul Gandhi being summoned is very serious case. That is why the ED has summoned him on the very following day. Otherwise, they would have given him a week's time or 10 days' time. Since the case is serious, they have been called. Number 1. Number 2, it's very interesting. It is a UPA government case, not NDA government case. because the case started in 2012. Second thing, Bhausdor Singh and you also said Sonia Gandhi झुकेंगे नहीं है, लेकिन मुझे लगता है Navika, you know it very well, in 2006 on the Office of Profit, it is Times Now and it is yourself, Madam Navika Kumar broke the story that Sonia Gandhi resigned instead of facing the Election Commission. She is above the law. She never wanted to appear before the Election Commission. Second thing, on Leopard Award case of Madam Ambika Soni, who got that award, was a dual citizenship. The Election Commission summoned Madam Sonia Gandhi. She did not appear. She is above law. But today, the law caught up her son, and the law will catch up her also very soon. Apart from that, the High Court said clandestine activity is a very serious charge. Among that, I understand, Navika, the point is there are 3 directors, including Amitabh Bachchan, Lalit Suri, and 2 others. They have to be questioned. They are also being questioned. So therefore, the case is enlarged.
Lalit Suri passed away a long time ago, sir.
But the case is going on. But similarly, my point is, Navika, simply only one line I say, its ongoing case is going to be crucial tomorrow. I am very sure day after tomorrow, Rahul Gandhi, other questions.
I want to get in Advocate Kapil Madan, and I'm coming to you, Sambit Patra. Advocate Kapil Madan. There are questions. Now, there are transactions, there are questions. I'm only on the point, if there are questions that are raised to private entities and normal citizens of India, should the same questions not be posed just because somebody is a Rahul Gandhi? That's the moot point tonight.
Navika ji, let me just give you a very small legal answer to this. Now, if you see this ED investigation, ED registered the case in 2014, and now we are in 2022. So it's been almost 8 years they are continuing with the investigation. So what does that signify? Now, one probability is that till this date, they don't have any material evidence to prove any case of money laundering. That's the reason why there is no charge sheet, there is no complaint. Now, they don't file a closure also because they want to keep the pot simmering, and if they want to use this for wrecking a political vendetta. Now, I'll ask a very simple question here. If the protesters were they were marching towards the ED office, did any protester said that you can't question Mr. Rahul Gandhi? I mean, no one ever said that you can't do the questioning. You do the questioning, but the point is, once you are trying to use this for gaining a political mileage, then of course there would be protests, and it was a peaceful protest. It was a show of solidarity, and I don't see why so much of a noise around it.
Dr. Patra, people can stand with their leader. What's your objection to that? What's your objection to that? Number one. And number two, 8 years, no charge sheet. Do you want to keep the pot simmering?
Navika, interestingly, the Congress party and the Congress party sympathizers questioned the income tax, in fact, the letter of income tax to Rahul Gandhi. And I have that letter in front of me because Times Now once upon a time disclosed this letter, and the letter dates 17/1/2014. This is to give you notice for the assessment year 2011-12. Just imagine 17/1/2014, who was in government on 17/1/2014? And if there was no profit made out of Young India, why was the then government, whoever was in government in 17/1/2014, why did the then government issue this letter to Rahul Gandhi? Number one. Number two, and most importantly, to the allegations that we were just standing in solidarity with Rahul Gandhi, so why was BJP trying to have a political slugfest over here? Who is the one who is having a political slugfest? In fact, we want that you should stand in solidarity with Rahul Gandhi. We also want that Rahul Gandhi should become immediately the president of Congress party. That is good for everyone. We consider Rahul Gandhi as a very valuable asset, and he should be the president of Congress party. But the issue is, you made a drama and mockery out of all this. You were trying to launch
very
Rahul
pertinent
Gandhi
point
yet
raised
again.
by
This was
Sambit
nothing but
Patra.
a
I
plan
want to
to
get in
relaunch
Miss
Rahul Gandhi.
Shashi Panja in. But before I go to her, I just want to show these visuals. Senior leaders of the Congress party waiting at the AICC headquarters. Those pictures on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, they're waiting for Rahul Gandhi to come in from Enforcement Directorate, and those are Congress netas waiting at AICC. Shashi Panja ji, the letter shown by Dr. Sambit Patra is also, and you raised a question, who's briefing us? Well, ma'am, we got this letter also out from the Income Tax Department when the Congress was in power. We got the Office of Profit Stories and the complaints written to the President of India then, when the Congress party was in office. So we as journalists continue to be in touch with our sources. You can't question legitimate investigative stories done by journalists to bring before people facts of the case. And in this case, Sambit Patra says this dated back to 2014 January. It wasn't the BJP in power. So how is it political vendetta?
No, allow the ED to question. When ED is questioning, why are we questioning ourselves here on the television?
Oh.
Especially on the day when the question is happening. Let it happen. I am not fighting about that.
Oh.
What I am saying is that the issue to malign, or is it diversionary? You see, this situation in India is saying something else. The optics are quite evident. The situation in India is not a very pleasant situation. Be it the petrol, diesel, gas, or whatever. There were very important issues to do. Allow ED to investigate. You see, I have a document too, out of the 4700 cases being probed by ED. Mr. Patra, I think you had a major time to speak. Allow us to speak. I have not spoken at all. So 4,700 cases being probed by ED, only 313 arrested since the enactment of PMLA in 2002. The center tells Supreme Court, this is from an Economic Times article dated February 2022. And these are also alleged, about these offences have taken place. So ED is also not in a very good shape. The point is it to malign? Why isn't there no
fair question? Fair question.
Diversionary?
Let me get
from
Dr.
the present
Patra to
situation
answer
in
that fair
India.
and square. But
BJP,
Ms. Shashi Panja, may I also tell
BJP has
you,
to apologize
you
to the nation.
You have given one.
Man, at this time, BJP should apologize to the nation, to the chaos which is happening all over India.
All
so
right.
This is diversionary.
All right, diversionary tactics.
Don't talk
But
why are you asking questions?
While you've quoted one set of numbers, may I quote another set of numbers? Comparison between. Let me tell you, there is an 1800% increase in the property attachment by the Enforcement Directorate since 2014. Property is worth 534 crores a year from 2004 to 2014, and at this point it is about 12,000 crore each year attachments that happen from the ED, number one. Number two, 3,000 searches approximately and 1 lakh crore rupees of proceeds of crime have been collected by the ED. So these numbers also you must keep in mind. But Dr. Patra, are you only trying to malign? Because there are many other issues that are very grave issues the country is facing. That's the charge by Shashi Panja ji. Respond to that charge.
Yeah, I'm amused. I'm amused by the confusion that the opposition party has.
Mr. Patra?
I mean, astonishingly, Ms. Panja says that, well, the ED has every right to question, but we have no right to discuss about the issue on the television. That is the issue. I mean, can I, Ms. Panja, amused, not ashamed, amused. I'm amused on your allegations. I'm amused by your allegations because look at the confusion that you have created. You said that you have no question of the ED. You have no problem with the ED questioning Rahul Gandhi. But the issue is that we should not be discussing this topic on television. Then you say that there are certain other issues which are taking place in the country, petrol, diesel, etc. So the ED should not be questioning. So first get clarity. These are separate issues. If you feel that this is diversionary tactics, then who said that you should be on the television debating this? Don't come for debating on diversionary tactics. Please don't come and debate on diversionary tactics. Half your leader.
I am amazed.
Oh my God, Shashi ji, क्या हो गया? Shashi ji, shanti.
That you have no clarity on issues.
Please be amazed in silence for a while.
Latest information. While the war of words continues between the opposition and the BJP, fresh orders have been given to all Congress workers in Rajasthan to lay a siege on Delhi tomorrow morning. All Congress workers from Rajasthan have been summoned to Delhi. That is the latest information that we are getting. Karan Verma, before I end the show, is this another round of confrontation that seems to be on the cards tomorrow morning?
Oh, absolutely. And who is dramatizing it? Who is causing it? And who is dramatizing it? Who is causing the confusion? Who is causing the chaos? It is the Congress party. Let it simply come forward and go ahead with the investigation. If they are squeaky clean, they'll come out clean. Why do they need to make it a show of strength and all of that? Well, it is the guilty.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's another day tomorrow while bulldozers and the debate on bulldozers stays off the headlines. It's Congress party back in the headlines, second day in a row, when Rahul Gandhi has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate tomorrow morning yet again. Will there be a siege? Once again, will it be a political statement that the Congress party will make, given the questions that Rahul Gandhi has to answer from investigation agencies? Well, we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much to all my panelists and to you viewers for joining me on the News Hour at 9. Good night, take care, and we'll be back tomorrow with lots of action on the ground from Ground Zero.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here. The News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned. Times now. Action begins here.
क्या पूछूं आपसे कि आपका जो स्टे था कांग्रेस पार्टी में, ये शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट था कि हॉट एंड सावर था?
जब राजनीति में कोई फैसले होते हैं मैडम जी, तब एक बात बहुत तय होती है कि लोगों के हित के लिए, जनता की सेवा के लिए ये फैसला होना चाहिए, और उसी को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया गया था। लेकिन जहां गए, जिस कांग्रेस पार्टी पर भरोसा किया, उनके नेताओं पर जो भरोसा किया, उससे एक बात तो तय हो गई थी कि ना ये जन सेवा करना चाहते और ना कोई करता है। उसको रोकने का काम करते हैं। जो जन सेवा करना चाहता है उसको रोक दो, हम नहीं करना चाहते तो हमारे साथ जुड़ जाओ। और ये काम हम नहीं कर सकते थे। हम आंदोलन के जरिए निकले थे, लोगों ने हम पर उम्मीद देखी थी, हम पर भरोसा किया था और हमने कहीं ना कहीं गुजरात के भीतर एक अच्छी उम्मीद को खड़ा करने का काम किया था, जो कांग्रेस को इनडायरेक्टली डायरेक्टली 2017 में फायदा किया था और मजबूत विपक्ष की भूमिका में आई थी। लेकिन आज कहां हुआ, ना आपको मीटिंग में बुलाते हैं, आपको वर्किंग प्रेसिडेंट बना दिया लेकिन कोई काम आपका तय ना किया। कहीं ना कहीं सिर्फ अपमान। और हमारे परिवार में और हमारे कई साथी कहते हैं कि अगर जहां सम्मान ना हो वहां अपमान नहीं होना चाहिए।
तो हार्दिक जी, ये सब आपको पहले से पता नहीं था? क्योंकि 2017 आप पॉलिटिक्स में आए थे और 2019 का चुनाव हुआ था, आप बहुत जगह साथ साथ
Good evening and welcome. You are watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. In the 3 days since rioting was seen across several states after Friday prayers, what we have seen is an absolute travesty. Politics, it seems, has motivated people to actively obfuscate or whitewash those who were actually responsible for the rioting. And strangely, the people who spoke up against the use of violence, people who asked whether seeking the beheading of a woman is justified, they are the ones who have been put behind bars. Let's quote to you 3 examples. We'll start with Ashwini in West Bengal. Once violence started in her state, she posted on social media against it and said that if rioters want to destroy property, they can leave the country instead of damaging everything. The mob went wild. Her house was vandalized, her family was threatened, even the local police station wasn't spared until Ashwini was picked up and jailed. Ironically, the people who attacked her house still remain at large. Worse, an SDPI member who actually was heard giving an incendiary speech that sparked the riots. The speech, by the way, happened just a day before the violence started. In his speech, he asked for an end to kafirs. That man is absolutely free. Listen.
যেদিন 2014 মে নরেন্দ্র মোদী পার্লামেন্টে শপথ নিয়েছিল, সেই দিন 2014 বলেছিলাম, अगर तू ही फिरौन है तो जान लो मूसा भी जरूर आएगा। पूरा अल्लाहू अकबर, अल्लाहू अकबर। पूरा दुनिया जुगे जुगे যখনই নবীর দুশমনরা জিন্দা হয়েছে, তখনই মহান আল্লাহ তাআলা ওইকে শাস্তি দেওয়ার জন্য একজন মর্দে মুজাহিদ, একজন নবীকে পৃথিবীর বুকে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছে।
Ashwini is example number 1. Now let's get you example number 2. In Maharashtra's Bhiwandi, a young boy is in jail even as we speak. He's been sent there by a mob that turned up at his house incensed. Why? Only because this young man put up a social media post questioning violence in the name of an insult to the Prophet. Even that is okay. Arrest him. If you want to put him in jail fearing law and order issues, it's fine. The irony though is that while this boy, Saad, is in jail, an AIMI MP, no less, is still free despite giving a public call to violence. Imtiaz Jalil, as exposed by Times Now, asked for the hanging of Nupur Sharma in a town square, even as a cheering mob around him said, "Sar tan se juda." But is Imtiaz Jalil arrested? Certainly not. Saad is arrested and Imtiaz Jalil is free. Worse, people, even despite this glaring disparity, are justifying Saad's incarceration.
हर शख्स को हक है कि वो फ्रीडम मतलब आज़ादी के साथ बोल सकता है, अपने जज्बात का इजहार कर सकता है, मगर ये फ्रीडम ऑफ आज़ादी जो है कहा जाता है, ये इस सिलसिले में फ्रीडम का ये मतलब नहीं कि किसी की भावना को ठेस पहुंचाया जाए, धर्म के साथ खेला जाए, मजहब के साथ खेला जाए।
And finally, example number 3 is the case of Ranchi. One of the FIRs filed in the Friday rioting case makes shocking disclosures. It says that after press, people of a certain community came out in large numbers and started raising provocative slogans. They broke the police cordon despite warnings, and then a mob of close to 10,000 surrounded the Hanuman temple, pelted stones at it. The aim, says the FIR, was to target temples and start riots. Worryingly, the FIR also says that the mob started moving towards the Hanuman temple, trying to get on top of it. Mind you, in the course of 2 days, at least 3 temples were vandalized in Ranchi. And as the police reveals, this was a clear effort to provoke and start riots. The protest against Nupur Sharma was, as it's emerging, only an excuse. And yet, when we asked the state Congress chief about it, about this attempt to try and provoke through temples and instigate riots, he remains in a state of denial.
जी, सांप्रदायिक घटनाएं क्योंकि लगातार झारखंड में रिपोर्ट की गई हैं, पहले भी की गई है, लोअर दंगा में भी इस तरह की घटना सामने आई और अब तो आपके राजधानी के अंदर होती है इस तरह की घटना। टाइम्स नाउ लगातार दिखा रहा है 3 मंदिरों पर हमला किया गया, डेलिबरेटली अटेम्प्ट ऑफ इन्वोकिंग राइट्स था वो सर, क्योंकि सीसीटीवी फुटेजेस सामने आए हैं, मंदिरों पर हमला होता है, घरों पर हमला होता है, सरकार क्यों जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेती? और
ये हम कैसे मान लें कि आपने फुटेज जो बना दिया वही सही है? किसने हमला किया है?
पुलिस ने एफआईआर भी रजिस्टर कर दी है सर।
एफआईआर रजिस्टर कर दिया, किसी को पकड़ा है क्या?
The question though then is simple. Is politics and not a sense of justice dictating how the law is being applied by these states? Is there really any interest at all to try and get to the bottom of the rioting and find the people who really are accused? Or is a vote bank compulsion so strong that there is a reluctance to even name or accept, leave alone call out the rioters? And is the real solution then for these governments to the rioting is to shut down, shut up and jail anyone who is speaking out against the madness?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, there are a variety of states and many issues that we are addressing. Priyanka Tibrewal, lawyer, joins us along with Tushar Gupta, senior editor at Swarajya, Dr. Tanuj Khatri, spokesperson of the JMM, Riju Datta, spokesperson of TMC, and Sunny Dhiman, spokesperson of the Youth Congress. But I want to start with M. Hakimuddin Kasmi. He's the general secretary of Jamiyat Ulema-e-Hind. He's joining us live from Ahmedabad. सबसे पहले कासमी साहब, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि आपने रांची जाकर के कहा है कि जो 2 लोगों की वहां पर मौत हुई है वो शहीद हैं, पर पुलिस तो कह रही है कि वो दंगाई हैं।
जी हाँ, पहले ही बात हो गई।
पुलिस तो कह रही है वो दंगाई है सर, तो उनको आप शहीद कैसे कह सकते हैं? All right, I think we'll try and fix that audio and actually come back to Mr. Kasmi. आपको आवाज आ रही है सर?
जी आ रही।
जिन लोगों को आप शहीद कह रहे हैं रांची में, पुलिस कह रही है वो दंगाई हैं। दंगाई शहीद कैसे हो सकता है?
जी पहले आप रांची के घटना की बात करिए, मुल्क में जो हुआ है। अचानक आपने दूसरी गुफ्तगू शुरू कर दी।
सर मैं तो सिर्फ जो पुलिस कह रही है और जो एफआईआर में लिखा है, ना मैं वहां मौजूद थी ना आप वहां मौजूद थे, तो मैं सिर्फ वही कह सकती हूं जो कि पुलिस कह रही है और जो हमें तस्वीरों में दिख रहा है।
नहीं, कहां से शुरुआत हुई पहले उसको कहिए ना। जो शुरुआत हुई है आप उसे कहिए ना। जिस तरह के हालात बने हैं वो आप बात करिए।
पर किस हालात में किसी के ऊपर भी पत्थरबाजी करना, मैं आपको छोटा सा पढ़ करके सुनाती हूं। यहां पर पुलिस कह रही है कि भीड़ और अवैध एवं विधि विरुद्ध जमाव घोषित किया जाता है। नाजायज मजमे में शामिल सभी लोगों को तितर बितर होने के लिए चेतावनी दी गई, लेकिन प्रदर्शनकारी हिंसक एवं आक्रामक होकर भड़काऊ नारेबाजी करते हुए तेजी से आगे बढ़ने लगे। 60 से 80 राउंड गोलियां चलाई गई। कौन से हालात में 60 से 80 राउंड गोलियां चलाने के को आप जस्टिफाई कर सकते हैं?
देखिए, ये तो एजेंसियों की जिम्मेदारी है, पुलिस की जिम्मेदारी है, वो इसकी तहकीक करे। देखे, मुझे इस सिलसिले में जो आपसे बात करनी है, वो जो जिस अंदाज से पुलिस ने बर्बरियत का मुजाहरा किया है, जो तरीक़ा इख्तियार किया गया है, वो सही नहीं। कंट्रोल करने के लिए और बहुत सारे तरीके हो सकते हैं।
जैसे
जी,
जैसे
आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़े जा सकते हैं, पानी के जरिए से कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है। अचानक गोली चला दिया और वो भी सर पे गोली मारी जा रही।
सर, उनका कहना है,
सर में
उनका कहना है कि लगातार वो कह रहे हैं कि हमने पहले उनकी घेराबंदी की, उसके बावजूद पुलिस की घेराबंदी तोड़कर पत्थरबाजी करते हुए भीड़ आगे बढ़ने लगी। हिंसा पर उतारू भीड़ पर प्रशासन के किसी भी अनुरोध का असर नहीं हुआ। उन्मादी भीड़ द्वारा मेन रोड स्थित हनुमान मंदिर के पास 8 से 10 हजार की संख्या में उपस्थित होकर पुलिस बल पर आक्रामक रूप से पथराव किया जाने लगा। उनका कहना है कि जब गोली चली भीड़ की तरफ से, तब उन्होंने रिटेलिएट किया। अगर गोली कोई चला रहा है तो उसको शहीद कैसे कहा जा सकता है?
मुझे जो हम देख रहे हैं, सुनिए, जो हम देख रहे हैं जिस मजमे को, वो 8 से 10 हजार का मजमा तो नहीं नजर आ रहा है। जो हम देख रहे हैं वीडियो वगैरह में, वो 8 से 10 हजार मजमा नहीं है जिसको आप 8 से 10 हजार कह रही हैं।
सर, मैं नहीं कह रही हूं, पुलिस कह रही है, जो कि अकेली है, वहां मौजूद थी। हम दोनों में से कोई भी वहां मौजूद नहीं था, हम सिर्फ व्हाट्सएप वीडियोस देख सकते हैं। पुलिस वहां मौके पर मौजूद थी और एफआईआर पे लिख रही है।
कल मैंने कल हमने डीजीपी साहब से मुलाकात की, डीआईजी साहब से मुलाकात की, डीसीपी साहब से मुलाकात, डीसी साहब से मुलाकात हुई। किसी ने हमसे तो ये नहीं कहा कि 10 हजार का मजमा था। आप कह रही हैं, मैं आपसे सुन रहा हूं 10 हजार,
क्योंकि पुलिस ने खुद अपनी रिपोर्ट में लिखा हुआ है। आप मेरे को सिर्फ इतना बता दीजिए, आप कह रहे हैं कि एजेंसी फैसला करेगी कि उस दिन क्या हुआ। एजेंसी के फैसले से पहले किसी को शहीद बता देना क्या न्याय संगत है? इन्वेस्टिगेशन होने से पहले किसी को शहीद कैसे बोल सकते हैं?
मुझे मालूम नहीं कितना, किसको
इन्वेस्टिगेशन होने से पहले कैसे फैसला कर सकते हैं कि कौन पत्थरबाज है, कौन शहीद?
ये कैसे आप कह रहे हैं कि पत्थरबाज था जो मारा गया? हो सकता है बेचारा कहीं तो फंस गया हो।
क्योंकि एफआईआर बोल रहा है सर, मैं नहीं बोल रही।
बहुत सारे मुसाफिर आ जा रहे थे,
पर आपके पास कोई सबूत नहीं है ना कि वो उसमें फंस गया, जबकि पुलिस बहुत साफ सबूत देकर के कह रही है और वीडियो के बूते पर कह रही है कि पत्थरबाजी हो रही थी।
हालात में नहीं, पत्थरबाजी का मैं इनकार नहीं कर रहा हूं। मैं इस बात को कह रहा हूं कि हो सकता है कोई ऐसा मुसाफिर, ऐसा बेकसूर आदमी जो उधर से गुजर रहा और फंस गया हो।
अच्छा, पर उनकी मां तो कह रही है कि वो इस्लाम के लिए उन्होंने अपनी जान दी है। वो तो ये भी नहीं कह रहे हैं कि वो फंस गए थे। वो तो कह रहे थे कि हाँ, मेरा बेटा था और इस्लाम के लिए उसने अपनी जान दी है।
नहीं, मैं एक आम बात कर रहा हूं अभी। जब
नहीं, पर उनकी मां तो ये कह भी नहीं रही कि वो बीच में फंस गए। वो तो कह रहे हैं कि हाँ, उसने इस्लाम के लिए जान दी है।
जी,
उनकी तो मां खुद कह रही है कि हाँ, मेरे बेटे ने इस्लाम के लिए जान दी है। वो तो ये कह भी नहीं रही कि वो चल रहा था ऐसे ही और मासूम बीच में फंस गया। वो तो खुद मान रही हैं कि हाँ, इस्लाम के लिए जान दी है मेरे बेटे ने।
देखिए, सुनिए, ठीक है, वो जिस हिसाब से वो बच्चा शरीक हुआ है और उसे गोली लगी है और अचानक उसकी जान गई है, तो वो जान जाने में भी उसको शहादत मिलेगी।
पर सर अगर कोई पत्थरबाजी कर रहा है कासमी साहब तो उसको शहीद कैसे बोल सकते हैं? फिर तो उसको क्रिमिनल बोलेंगे ना, दंगाई बोलेंगे।
आप कैसे कह रही हैं कि पत्थरबाजी कर रहा है?
पुलिस कह रही है।
नहीं,
पुलिस कह रही है।
कैसे कह रही है कि पत्थरबाजी कर रहा है?
पुलिस कह रही है, मैं तो कुछ नहीं कह रही, पुलिस कह रही है।
क्या कह रही है?
तस्वीरें कह रही हैं कि पत्थर चल रहे थे, एफआईआर कह रही है कि पत्थर चल रहे थे। मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं कह रही।
पुलिस ने गोलियां चलाई, उसको भी तो आप मानिए ना।
आत्मरक्षा में अगर दंगा होगा तो गोलियां तो चलेंगी, ऐसा पुलिस का कहना है कि दंगा हुआ इसलिए हमने गोलियां चलाई।
नहीं, गोलियों के गोलियों के चलाए जाने के भी तरीका होता है। जिस तरह से आप गोली चला रहे हैं, तरीका तो है जैसे आपने दुश्मनों पे हमला किया है, आपके दुश्मन थे वो।
पर अगर कोई आप पे फायरिंग कर रहा है तो एक तरीके से दुश्मन ही होगा ना।
तो लगते नहीं है।
80 राउंड फायरिंग हो रही है कासमी साहब।
नहीं,
तब तो फिर क्या ही करेंगे?
नहीं, ये गलत बात है। इस तरह से आप डिफेंस मत कीजिए।
मैं डिफेंस नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं तो सिर्फ सवाल पूछ रही हूँ कि क्या उसको ट्विस्ट देकर के शहादत बोलना सही है? उसको शहादत का ट्विस्ट देना क्या सही है? और शहादत किस चीज के लिए?
बिल्कुल शहीद हुआ है।
किस चीज के लिए?
बिल्कुल शहीद हुआ है। दुनिया माने या ना माने, लेकिन इस्लाम के एतबार से तो शहीद हुआ ही है।
चलिए ठीक है कासमी साहब, आपका मानना है कि ये शहादत है। आपका हमारे से जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। लेट मी टेक दिस स्ट्रेट अक्रॉस इन फैक्ट नाउ टू द गेस्ट हु आर हियर विद अस। ये बताइए डॉक्टर तनुज खत्री, क्या आपको भी लगता है कि ये शहादत है?
जी देखिए हम झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा जो है जल जंगल जमीन की पार्टी रही है, और ये तीनों चीज में कोई धर्म जाति का बंधन नहीं होता है। जिस तरीके से जल कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक एक है, जंगल कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक एक है, और जिस जमीन पर हम रहते हैं वो सबके लिए बराबर है। हम किसी भी तरीके के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ट्रैप में आकर के किसी भी तरीके की जो उन्माद फैलाने का काम पूरे देश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी कर रही है, हम कम से कम झारखंड में उस चीज को नहीं होने देंगे। और मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि जो भी घटना हुई है, उस तरीके की किसी भी घटना की हम कठोर से कठोर निंदा करते हैं।
सर एक सेकंड, आप गोल गोल घुमा रहे हैं। मैं आपको एक सीधा सवाल पूछ लेती हूँ,
लेकिन कानून को लेने का अधिकार नहीं है।
ठीक है, आपको सीधा सवाल पूछती हूँ, दंगा किसने कराया?
नहीं ठीक है, आप सीधा सवाल पूछिए, उसका मैं सीधा जवाब देता हूं कि माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ने 10 तारीख को, जिस दिन की ये घटना है शुक्रवार की, उसी दिन जो है शाम में एसआईटी का गठन कर दिया। लगातार कार्रवाई जारी है, लगातार अनुसंधान जारी है, और वो सबके सामने आएगा। ऐसा नहीं है कि अब आज के
सर सामने तो सबके आ गया।
जिस तरीके से सब चीजें हो रही हैं,
डॉक्टर खत्री, सामने तो सबके आ गया। मेरे हाथ में
क्या आ गया?
2 एफआईआर
आ रही है सामने ना।
2 एफआईआर हैं। एक मंदिर जलाने का एफआईआर है, दूसरा मंदिर के ऊपर बम फेंकने का एफआईआर है, और तीसरा जो मंदिर के ऊपर हनुमान मंदिर पर अटैक हुआ है उसका एफआईआर है, और चौथा जो लोग गिरफ्तार हुए हैं उनके नाम का सूची है। आप ये बताइए, क्योंकि आप सरकार में हैं, दंगा किसने किया? दंगा शुरू किसने किया? आपको पता ही होगा, आप तो पुलिस से बात कर रहे होंगे।
देखिए किसने शुरू किया, किसने क्या किया, कोई भी दंगाई होता है उसका कोई मजहब होता है क्या? आपके सवाल से ये लग रहा है कि मैं कोई एक ऐसा नाम ले लूं और फिर से कुछ इस तरीके की बातें हो। नहीं,
पर इसमें तो है, और ये आपकी पुलिस कह रही है डॉक्टर खत्री, ये आपकी पुलिस कह रही है। मैं तो बताती हूँ कि इसमें मजहब की बात क्यों है, क्योंकि आपकी पुलिस कह रही है। पहली बात, ये मैं नहीं कह रही हूं, आपकी पुलिस ने एफआईआर में लिखा है कि समुदाय विशेष के लोग मस्जिद से निकले, उग्र हुए, भड़काऊ भाषण दिए और मंदिर की ओर बढ़ने लगे। तो ये बात आपकी पुलिस कह रही है, और सिर्फ यहीं पे नहीं रुकती। आपकी पुलिस ये भी कह रही है कि मंदिर पर चढ़ाई करने लगे, जिससे धार्मिक उन्माद फैले और दंगे भड़के, तो ये मजहब की बात मैं नहीं ला रही डॉक्टर खत्री, ये तो आपकी एफआईआर में है। फिर से आपसे पूछ रही हूं, क्योंकि एक्शन आपको लेना पड़ेगा, तो आपने कम से कम ये आइडेंटिफाई किया है कि दंगा किसने भड़काया?
देखिए, अनुसंधान जारी है, पुलिस की कार्रवाई जारी है, और आपके पास हो सकता है कि 4 एफआईआर हो, आने वाले समय में और एफआईआर सामने आएंगे।
पर आपने नहीं पढ़े क्या एफआईआर?
कौन है, किस तरीके से सुनियोजित तरीके से ये कार्य किया गया, किसको
सुनियोजित तरीके से किया?
तो वही कह रहा हूं कि अभी 4 एफआईआर आपके पास है, आने वाले दिनों में हो सकता है कि और एफआईआर आपके पास आएंगे।
डॉक्टर खत्री, किसने सुनियोजित साजिश की, ये तो बताइए।
जब वही उसी का मैं जवाब दे रहा हूं मैम, ये बताया जाएगा, बिल्कुल। कोई ऐसा थोड़ी ना किसी को,
तो मेरे को ये बताइए, अगर आपको अभी कुछ नहीं पता क्योंकि विवेचना हो रही है,
जो भी
आपके जो अलायंस पार्टनर हैं, इनफैक्ट वहां के जो कांग्रेस के एमएलए हैं इरफान अंसारी, वो तो कह रहे हैं कि निर्दोषों के ऊपर गोली चलाई गई, 50 लाख रुपए मुआवजा और सरकारी नौकरी मांग रहे हैं। आपके अलायंस पार्टनर है। अगर आपको नहीं पता कि दंगाई कौन है, तो मासूमियत का सर्टिफिकेट इरफान साहब कैसे दे रहे हैं इन लोगों को?
नहीं, अब मैं किसी के व्यक्तिगत टिप्पणी पर मैं नहीं जाऊंगा।
पर वो व्यक्ति नहीं है ना, वो तो एमएलए हैं, कांग्रेस के एमएलए हैं, आपके साथी हैं।
मैं किसी नहीं
इलाके के एमएलए हैं। वो तो जो लोग दंगा कर रहे थे उनको शहीद बता के 50 लाख रुपए और आपकी सरकार में नौकरी दिला देंगे।
देखिए, मैंने उनका कोई स्टेटमेंट ना देखा है ना सुना है इस तरीके का जो आप कह रहे हैं। और मैं ये आपको कहना चाहता हूं कि कानून का इकबाल माननीय मुख्यमंत्री हेमंत सोरेन जी की सरकार में कायम था, है और रहेगा। और इसको कोई भी अगर नष्ट करने की कोशिश करेगा तो वो हमारी सरकार इसको बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगी, और जो भी इसके पीछे होगा उस पर कार्रवाई होगी, निश्चित रूप से कार्रवाई।
तुषार गुप्ता, आपको लगता है कि कानून का इकबाल रखा जाएगा? अगर अभी तक
की बात करेंगे,
एक सवाल का जवाब अभी तक नहीं मिला है, 21 मिनट हो गए हैं, कि दंगा करवाया किसने? पुलिस बोल रही है, एफआईआर बोल रहा है, तस्वीरें बोल रही हैं, पर एक नाम लेने में कि किसने करवाया दंगा, जब इधर तक ही हम नहीं पहुंचे हैं, तो फिर कानून का इकबाल कैसे होगा?
क्या किसका नाम चाह रहे हैं आप क्या बुलवाना चाहते हैं?
सर, मैं कुछ बुलवाना नहीं चाहती, मैं तो सिर्फ तथ्यों के आधार पर
आपके सामने है।
डॉक्टर खत्री, सिर्फ तथ्यों के आधार पर आपसे पूछ रही हूँ।
कोई एक व्यक्ति का किया हुआ तो नहीं होगा ना ये।
एक जब क्राइम होता है तो आप ये कहते हैं ना कि अच्छा 2 लोगों में भिड़ंत हुई, चलो आप कार एक्सीडेंट हो गया, एक कार थी ऑल्टो, एक कार थी मर्सिडीज। आप जब देखते हैं, आपके पास एफआईआर आता है, आप ये कहेंगे ना कि या तो मर्सिडीज ने ऑल्टो को टक्कर मारी या ऑल्टो ने मर्सिडीज को टक्कर मारी। इसमें यह तो नहीं हो सकता ना कि हाँ टक्कर हो गई, किसी ने तो मारी ना। आपसे मैं पूछ रही हूं, किसने टक्कर मारी?
मर्सिडीज ने ऑल्टो को टक्कर मारी कि बीच में कोई फॉर्च्यूनर भी आ गया, ये अनुसंधान का विषय है मैम, और ये चीजें बहुत जल्द सामने होंगी कि पीछे से कोई फॉर्च्यूनर आ गया, स्कॉर्पियो लेकर के आ गया, सारी चीजें सामने होंगी।
सवाल ये भी है कि क्या सच में बीच में फॉर्च्यूनर आई, या आपने पॉलिटिकल फॉर्च्यून को साधने के लिए आप फॉर्च्यूनर बीच में डाल रहे हैं? तुषार गुप्ता,
नहीं, इसमें कहां पॉलिटिकल फॉर्च्यून की बात हो रही है?
Padmaja,
किसी के द्वारा
the people who are brandishing weapons against the police forces have no trust on the government. सर मुझे बोलने दीजिए, सर मुझे बोलने दीजिए। देखिए, बात साफ है, कोई दंगाई शहीद नहीं होता। सबसे पहले तो एक सरल सवाल का सरल जवाब, कोई भी दंगाई कभी भी किसी भी राज्य में किसी भी कम्युनिटी का, किसी भी रिलीजन का शहीद नहीं होता। दंगाई शहीद नहीं होते, फुल स्टॉप। Padmaja, look at the high-headedness. सरकार व्यवस्था पर भरोसा नहीं है. They have no faith in the government. They are brandishing weapons before the police forces. They want to judge what the remarks of Nupur Sharma meant. They want to be the jury as to decide what the punishment of Nupur Sharma would be. They want to be the executioner when they say that a FIR and the party suspension is not enough. And today they are coming onto your show and saying that the police should handle the riots in a certain manner. Do not fire on the rioters if they're firing on you. Instead use tear gas shells. Instead use water cannons. If it's okay if a policeman is hit by a bullet, do not fire back. What kind of high-headedness is this?
Dr. Khatri.
What kind of superiority complex is this? Why can't they retain the faith in the court of law?
नहीं, ये आप मेरे से पहले जो सज्जन मेरे से पहले जो आपके गेस्ट बैठे थे, मुझे लगता है कि इनका सवाल उनसे है ना। हमने जो भी कंटेंट की इन्होंने अपने वक्तव्य में दिया, वो कंटेंट मैंने नहीं कहा है। ये
अच्छा।
मेरे से पहले जो सज्जन बैठे थे, मुझे लगता है कि
जो हकीमुद्दीन कासमी साहब है ना, वो आपकी सरकार से ही मुलाकात करके ये सारी मांगे रख के आए हैं। डॉक्टर खत्री,
अब
आपकी सरकार से ही मिल करके गए हैं वो, और ये मांग रख करके गए हैं कि उनको नौकरी दी जाए, शहीद का दर्जा दिया जाए।
यहाँ पे नहीं हूं हम, नहीं कौन क्या रख के गए हैं, हम उस पर बात ही नहीं करने के लिए
पद्मजा, सिंपल क्वेश्चन, क्या दंगाई शहीद होते हैं, हाँ या ना?
कानून अपना काम करेगी, कोई निर्दोष नहीं फंसेगा।
बताइए, तुषार गुप्ता आपसे पूछ रहे हैं, क्या दंगाई शहीद हो सकते हैं?
क्या पूछ रहे हैं
आप? मुझे बस एक इतना सा जवाब दे दीजिए, क्या दंगाई शहीद होते हैं? क्या पुलिस पर गोली चलाने वाले राइटर्स शहीद कहलाते हैं?
नहीं, बिल्कुल भी इस तरीके के किसी चीज से हम इत्तेफाक नहीं रखते हैं जो आप कहना चाह रहे हैं। हम उसको अपने ज़बान पर भी लाने पर भी इत्तेफाक नहीं रखते हैं। आप तो कह दे रहे हैं, आप तो बातों बातों में कह दे रहे हैं।
चलिए, बहुत अच्छी बात है। आई एम वेरी ग्लैड यू हैव टेकन दिस स्टैंड, डॉक्टर तनुज खत्री, बिकॉज अगेन लेट मी रिमाइंड यू,
वीर सिद्धू कानू की शहीद की धरती है, बिरसा मुंडा की धरती है।
Absolutely. आपकी legacy is unblemished. Don't let it be blemished by the kind of politics that is being done by your alliance partner. Because again, let me remind you कि इरफान अंसारी जो कि जामताड़ा से विधायक हैं, वो अभी भी ये मेंटेन कर रहे हैं कि जो 2 लोगों की मौत हुई है वो शहीद हैं, उनको गवर्नमेंट जॉब और साथ में कॉम्पेंसेशन मिलना चाहिए उनके नेक्स्ट ऑफ किन को।
क्या वो कांग्रेस का वो बयान है? क्या वो
कांग्रेस के एमएलए हैं, वो
एमएलए का क्या
आपके साथ बैठते हैं,
करना चाहता हूं,
विधान भवन में आपके साथ ही बैठते होंगे। एनी हाउ, इफ यू आर डिस्टेंसिंग इट, if you are distancing, that's great news. Now let me shift focus. There's still hope in Ranchi at least that there will be an impartial probe. Now let's come to you, Riju Datta and Priyanka Tibrewal. How is it that an Ashwini gets arrested, but a man from the SDPI who's giving a speech saying कि काफिरों का अंत करने के लिए मूसा आएगा is running around Murshidabad? How?
No, first of all, he is running around. Yes, we cannot find him. There are police complaints filed against his name. I say on this national channel that we condemn what he says, and as soon as we found him, he will be booked under the strictest arm of the law. Simple, no questions asked about it. Now the second thing is, I want to ask a very simple question. Nupur Sharma, the BJP spokesperson, made an atrocious and defamatory remark. The country burnt. Houses were bulldozed. People lost their jobs in foreign countries. 2 children died in Ranchi. Why is Nupur Sharma still not arrested? Why is Narendra Modi, Amit Shah still following?
Because sir, a mob that is burning down the country will not decide what happens to Nupur Sharma. The law will decide what happens to Nupur Sharma.
I exactly wanted this answer.
Because it is the right answer. What is obviously the law will decide. A mob is not going to tell me now arrest Nupur Sharma, now hang Nupur Sharma, now burn Nupur Sharma at stake. The mob is not going to decide कि हम ट्रेन जला देंगे, नहीं तो नुपुर शर्मा को अरेस्ट कर लो, हम ये तोड़ देंगे नुपुर शर्मा को। अरे the court will decide, the police will decide.
Padmaja, Baba, calm down. I'm not saying that hang her. That cannot happen. I'm not saying cut her head or behead her. No, that cannot happen. She has to be punished by the law, by the constitution of this country, not by any scripture. Now, my question to you is this. Now, when Tejinder Banga was arrested, there was a court at 12 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, and he was released from transit remand. Now, in this case, when the Prime Minister gets up early in the morning and wishes some minister in Israel happy birthday, happy anniversary, why is he mum for the last 3 days when the country
You are again changing the goalpost. Riju Datta, I have a simple question to ask of you. As far as the arrest of Nupur Sharma is concerned, let me also remind you that there is, if you are saying immediately arrest her, in not arresting her, even your state police has failed, because there is a case filed in West Bengal also for which you have issued notice to Nupur Sharma for questioning. Then we can ask you, bhai, aapne kyun nahi arrest kar liya? Because arrest aise nahi hota hai and you know it. Now I will bring you back to the point. Why have you arrested this girl giving in to the mob because they came and attacked your police station? only because she put up a post saying कि अगर तुम्हें तोड़फोड़ करनी है तो ये देश छोड़ दो.
First of all, we did not give in to the mob. The
Really?
mobs who's yes. The
Then
mob
tell me, why is the mob that attacked her house still free? Ashwini is in jail. The mob is free.
Once again, the mobs who are pelting stones, 200 people have been arrested, more than 60 FIRs have been filed. Now coming to the
in Ashwini's case, how many people, in Ashwini's case, how many people have been arrested who attacked her house?
No. First of all, look, wait. Ashwini, she is not a minor. In this sensitive case scenario, she has written out a social media message कि जिसको नहीं रहना है देश छोड़ के भाग जाओ. What kind of radicalization is this?
Sir,
I'm asking
again, let me underline for you that a man who said कि काफिरों के खिलाफ मूसा आएगा, you are saying I condemn, we will arrest him. Ashwini, you picked up and you were like सबसे पहले इसको जेल में डालो because देश इशू की वजह से टूट रहा है. वो आदमी खुला घूम रहा है. अश्विनी को आपने कहा कि भाई सबसे बड़ी नेशनल थ्रेट यही माइनर है, इसको बंद कर दो.
I have lot of respect for you. Don't give a narrative, please. He is not.
What narrative?
There are police complaints on his name and police is looking for him. Now I am also asking.
The police which found this minor girl can't find this man. SDPI आपको नहीं दिखता. अश्विनी आप कूद के पहुंच जाते हैं. Why?
No, 1 second. When Times Now and Miss Padmaja Joshi is showing this picture of this girl, why don't you show 3 more pictures? I'm asking you. She put an inflammatory and a statement during a sensitive situation. That's why she is arrested. 19-year-old painter. 19-year-old painter.
Okay.
From Gorakhpur
arrest her because she inflamed passions. I will again keep asking you. Hold on.
In Delhi for why are you so anti-Muslim? Why are you so anti-Muslim? Tell me, please. Why their pictures are not on your show?
Sir, I am asking you a simple question. You think Ashwini was given inflammatory comment? Arrest her.
Yes.
Fine. She's a juvenile, but she's very, very dangerous and inflammatory.
Yes.
Why were the people who attacked her house not considered as violent a threat to our secular democracy as this 16-year-old is? This girl is the terrorist, okay? What about the people who attacked her house?
How do you know she is not a terrorist? Or what kind of logic is that? I'm not calling her a terrorist. I'm saying she made an inflammatory statement, she got arrested. Now you are saying a mob vandalized her house. One second. This is a bite from her father in front of the media. Has her father filed a complaint to the police station? Has other people gone and filed a complaint to the police station?
Okay. Priyanka Tibrewal, so the onus is on the father. He should go and file a complaint because his house has been vandalized and his daughter is in jail. But at least he can file an FIR. What's wrong with him?
Yes, if somebody vandalizes my house,
True.
And who will take the FIR? The police here has failed to register FIRs and 15,000 such FIRs have been stated by the NHRC in the post-violence case. So we all know it very well that who registers the FIR. Now the second question which is very pertinent here is the absurd and obnoxious behavior of the government. Now Mr. Riju Datta was saying that he can't find that cleric. I will say another Peer Zada of Purpura Sharif. What did he say? He said that Shiv's Linga is so big that it is roaming all over India. It is roaming all over India. That is the length of
Priyanka Tibrewal, you keep on filing FIRs and petitions in the court. File an FIR.
They will expect tolerance from us. They will expect secularism from us. And ultimately they will say it is they who are horrified. It is they who are frightened. Those people who are burning houses and shops of innocent people.
Let's listen in to her father. Let's listen in to her father, Riju Datta. You say that the onus is on the father. Here is what he told us about the FIR and what your police did after it. Listen.
ওই মেয়ে একটা পোস্ট করেছিল তাই তো? হ্যাঁ পোস্টটা করেছিল যে যাদের ভালো লাগবে দেশে তারা থাকতে পারে না হলে দেশ ছেড়ে চলে যেতে পারে। এইটাকে নিয়ে মানে এখানকার মুসলিমরা মানে অশান্তি দাঙ্গা টাইপের ক্রিয়েট করেছিল। থানা ভাঙচুর, বাড়িঘর ভাঙচুর এবং মেয়ের অ্যারেস্ট চাই। অ্যারেস্ট করানো হয়েছিল, তার সত্ত্বেও তারা পরবর্তী ভাঙচুর থানা এবং বাড়িঘর এসব করে।
Go on, Riju Datta. The man says, हमारे घर पे पत्थर मारे, हमारा घर तोड़ दिया, मैंने FIR की, कोई एक्शन नहीं हुआ. He even did what you were asking him to. फिर भी action नहीं लिया.
Can I make a request? Times Now is an elaborate channel with a huge budget. Please hire a translator. Please. He categorically said,
no, you don't need a translator in this.
My daughter got arrested.
Incident is there on TV and everyone is watching it.
They came and vandalized the house. Somebody came and vandalized his house. He did not file a complaint.
A suo moto.
He did not file a complaint.
The police. There wasn't any need for.
He did not file a complaint.
Okay. A suo moto complaint.
Okay, then he's at fault because he did not file the complaint. Priyanka Tibrewal.
Now Priyanka Tibrewal is saying, why did police not file a
FIR could have been raised. Could have been registered by the police, but they did not do so. Leave apart the police. It is the CM herself. It is the CM herself who is saying that it is the sin of the BJP.
Priyanka, you see, you are exposing your own party. मेरा घर चल रहा है, मैं FIR नहीं करूँगा, पुलिस को suo moto करना है.
No FIR. Party officers of another
a bite on the media, but he will not go and file an FIR. But police will file.
This is the character of the government here, this obnoxious behavior we have all noticed, and leave apart that today also the court had to intervene. The court had to say that if the West Bengal government thinks that it is appropriate time to bring in the central forces.
Okay, let him ask a question. Let him ask a question. Okay, let him ask a question. Yes, Riju Datta.
My simple question is this. That all this happened, jitna hangama hua, violence, arson, whatever happened, rioters should be booked, arrested, fine. But all that happened because of one particular comment made by a national spokesperson of the BJP. Now, in this entire tussle, in this entire jhamela, one BJP party office got burnt. So this jhamela was because of a comment by a BJP.
No, hold on for a second, Riju Datta. Nothing can condone arson. You cannot say Nupur Sharma made this comment, तो उनको तो जलाना ही था. Sir, it's a law and order issue. अच्छा क्यों जल गया? क्योंकि Nupur Sharma ने बोला तो जल गया. Tomorrow you will condone murder saying, oh, because Nupur Sharma said this, so people went and killed somebody. This had to happen.
At least the police in Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh.
Did I say I support them burning down the BJP office? I did not say no.
People trying to stop this.
Finish. What is happening? My question is why BJP netas, including Priyanka Tibrewal, wanted to go to Howrah to incite more violence. Can they answer that?
Okay, incidentally, let me also tell you this, that while you are saying that people will be arrested, whoever is responsible, Firhad Hakim as late as today afternoon said that all of this violence is sporadic. It is not being done in a communal way. It is wrong. It is actually the handiwork of the BJP. Still haven't understood how the burning of many places, public property, attack on a train is somehow handiwork of the BJP. If you do
I'll answer that question.
Go on.
I'll answer that question.
Yes,
I'll answer that question. First of all, this violence happened in 1 out of 21 districts and a part of Howrah, not the entire Bengal. Number one. Bengal is peaceful. Number two, I can show you a news article from 2019 and 2020 where BJP cadres wearing skull caps are throwing Molotov cocktails. This is what they do in Bengal. They wear skull caps and throw Molotov cocktails.
This is their habit.
I can show news articles.
Okay, Riju Datta, I can tell you for a fact, when you say that it has happened only in one district of Howrah, that is actually not true, because your police itself has confirmed that at least in 5 different places, violence has taken place, including yesterday. And actually, West Bengal is the one place where violence has continued for 3 days. Other places got it under control. West Bengal still doesn't have it under control. Now let me come to Sunny Dhiman, because I want to talk about another unfortunate boy who all he did in Bhivandi, Sunny Dhiman, is that he said, what kind of country are we living in where somebody is being threatened with death only because she spoke her mind? He has been slapped and he has been jailed. Why?
गुड इवनिंग पद्मजा. साहिर लुधियानवी की एक लाइन है कि जालिम को जो ना रोके शामिल है जुल्म में, कातिल को जो ना टोके कातिल के साथ है. एक सेइंग है इंग्लिश में, द वायलेंस बिगेट्स वायलेंस. राइट नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग ऑल ओवर इंडिया, in different pockets of India, it is a result of one incident. But right now I'm not here to talk about the incident, be it Nupur Sharma or the violence which resulted in that reaction. but I'm here to talk about the process which is under protection of the Prime Minister or the government of India.
Sir, I am not talking about a larger philosophical debate. I have a simple question and a very narrow question.
Madam,
this young boy has got nothing to do with BJP. He has nothing to do with Nupur Sharma. He doesn't even have anything to do with Hindutva. He said, I hate all religions, but I'm scared to live in a world where people can kill your family. Ditch the religion that spreads terrorism. Just be a human being. It is that simple. This boy is a young Muslim boy. He is a sane voice who just said, ditch all terrorism and all religion. Just be a human. Why is he being put in jail in Maharashtra? Why?
Madam, again I'm coming back. You are trying to find an answer to a complex problem in a one line. You want to find an answer in a 1 minute you are giving me, and that will be satisfactory. No, I'm here to tell you that you are not talking about the way in last several years, for 8 years, there were lynchings. There was, open call for genocide, and now, what is happening right now, that the government's spokesperson has become the fringes now.
Actually, sir, I beg to differ. And let me say that you are trying to make complex what is fairly straightforward. It is a tragedy and a farce. If people who are actual rioters are given a long rope, but ordinary citizens who are saying, stop this madness, stop this violence, it cannot be whitewashed in the name of religion, are being summarily picked up, gagged and put in jail because politically it suits you. That is the simplest answer to all of these three examples that we have spoken of from Jharkhand, from West Bengal and from Maharashtra. For the sake at least of this young boy, he is just beginning his life. Let's hope better sense prevails and the mob does not dictate what happens to people like Saad and Ashwini. Thank you very much all gentlemen. Priyanka Tibrewal for joining me. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi has just left the ED offices after being grilled for over 8 hours for his alleged role in a decade-old scam. He's been summoned again tomorrow, but even as the questioning was on behind closed doors, Congress leaders launched a satyagraha across the country. However, this show of solidarity turned a little awkward through the day.
कौन सा ही काम क्या है, महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार ने और हुकुमशाह सरकार है, इसलिए हम इसके धिक्कार करने के लिए आए हैं।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है कि इसके बारे में जो मैम ने बोला मेरा गला खराब होने के।
अच्छा सर, आपको पता है किस वजह से सामान भेजा गया राहुल गांधी? नहीं पता।
जो प्रदर्शन में आए, क्या ये प्रदर्शन किस चीज?
सर मेरे को नहीं पता इसके बारे में और किसी पूछना।
ये प्रदर्शन के बारे में पता नहीं है, बैठे ही है खाली। हाँ
कैसे आए?
नहीं अभी बैठे ही, हम भी यहाँ सुन नहीं रही है क्या बोल रहे हैं, क्या नहीं
सुनने के लिए बैठे, मतलब आपको आइडिया नहीं है
यहाँ किस लिए आया?
ये झंडा लगाने के लिए 500 बोल के लाई थी मजदूरी का।
500 रुपए देते बोले।
क्यों है ये प्रोटेस्ट?
मैम बताएंगे।
मैम बताएंगे, आपको नहीं मालूम। ये क्यों प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं?
ये बिजली के लिए कर रहे हैं, हमें बड़े बिल बहुत
ज्यादा आ रहा है।
महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है, इसमें मैम बताएंगे।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Okay, Guru Prakash, national spokesperson of BJP, joins us along with Sunny Dhiman, and we have Kuntal Krishna, political analyst, also here with us, political analyst Shubhransh Rai. Guru Prakash, I want to start by asking you, today the Congress kept saying, we are doing a satyagraha. Why is the BJP so troubled?
No, you see, Padmaja, in front of the entire country today, there was one single question. Is Mr. Rahul Gandhi above the Constitution of India? Is Mr. Rahul Gandhi above the law of the land? what could have been a very general procedure, Mr. Rahul Gandhi going to the agency, answering some questions, but that's the whole problem. That's where the fundamental problem is, that he does not know how to answer the question. If going to an obituary, visiting a museum, visiting a monument, he needs help from Google, he needs help from mobile. So this entire facade was created, which was exposed by none other than Mr. Digvijay Singh himself. Mr. Digvijay Singh, former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, a very senior leader of the Congress party, says हाजिरी कहाँ लगाना है, attendance कहाँ लगाना है. He came all the way from Madhya Pradesh saying that attendance लगाना है मुझे. So I think it stands exposed in front of the entire country today. Okay. What could have been a very normal day for the Congress party, they created all this facade and now they stand exposed in front of the entire country today. They are not above the constitution, they are not above the law of the land, they must face the law.
Kuntal Krishna, how will you convince people of Rahul Gandhi's innocence when Congress leaders only them are not convinced? वो सिर्फ हाजिरी लगाने गए थे, not with any sense of conviction.
Padmaja, today we saw a new law of vendetta politics. और जहाँ तक you are saying कि no one is knowing, so let me tell you, 22,000 Delhi police personals and paramilitary force was deployed in Delhi alone. Delhi alone. Rahul Gandhi is one person who is fighting this establishment and Mr. Modi's dream of turning India into a dictatorship. So this establishment, Modi and RSS is afraid of him. Rahul Gandhi, today what we saw, I told you, it's a new law. It's a new law. Rahul Gandhi ने कदम रखा और पूरी की पूरी सरकार भारत की हिल गई. 22,000 लोगों को आपने दिल्ली की सड़कों पे उतार दिया. And what we saw today was a reaction of common people of India.
But sir, आप तो ऐसे बोल रहे हैं आज एक पता नहीं अंग्रेजों से आजादी के लिए लड़ रहे थे. आप तो एक करप्शन केस के खिलाफ लड़ रहे हो आज.
Padmaja, it's a fact. Padmaja, it's a fact. गांधी जी ने उन अंग्रेजों को भगाने के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी थी और राहुल
गांधी जी ने 90 करोड़ के शेयर्स नहीं लिए थे ना.
That's why you जी नहीं पद्मजा ये सारी चीजें भारत की जनता जानती है. That's why you saw today, even your cameraman asked someone that why are you here? He simply said, I am here to support Rahul Gandhi. महंगाई बढ़ गई है.
Actually he said मेरे को 50 रुपए promise किया.
Your cameraman only showed it to us.
एक आदमी ना 500 रुपए के लिए आया था बेचारा.
पद्मजा, वो आपके कैमरामैन ने ये बात दिखाई. And Padmaja, let me tell you, 22,000 police personals and paramilitary force was deployed in Delhi only. पूरी दिल्ली छावनी बना दी थी आपकी भारत की सरकार ने.
देखिए गुरु प्रकाश,
Mr. Modi, Mr. Shah and RSS, they are afraid of him.
सिंहासन खाली कीजिए. राहुल गांधी आ रहे हैं.
I personally don't know from where is this data coming out of 22,000 police personnel or the paramilitary forces. I don't think that this is a correct data. We must go and verify this data. But Padmaja, one thing that stands out from today's drama which we saw, this is clearly Mr. Surjewala saying Mr. Rahul Gandhi माफी नहीं मांगेंगे. राफेल केस में क्या हुआ था? सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अनकंडीशनल अपॉलजी. चौकीदार चोर है ये बोल करके देश के करोड़ों चौकीदारों का आपने अपमान किया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अनकंडीशनल अपॉलजी. अब माफी नहीं मांगेंगे. व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ ड्रामा इज दिस सर? आई सीरियसली डोंट अंडरस्टैंड. एंड एज फार एज द केस इज कंसर्न्ड, यू आर अकाउंटेबल, यू आर आंसरेबल टू पीपल लाइक ब्रह्मानंद पांडे हु इज अ शेयर होल्डर इन एजेएल. एजेएल के 90 करोड़ लेकर के 2,000 करोड़ की संपत्ति पे मालिक बन जाते हैं और अपने आप को संविधान से ऊपर मानते हैं. दिस इज unacceptable. This is unacceptable. You are not above the constitution. You are not above the law of the land. एक सामान्य नागरिक की तरह रहना कब सीखेंगे आप लोग?
और शुभ्रांश, शायद सिंपल सी बात यह है कि यहाँ पर करप्शन का मुद्दा है, उसका innocence और otherwise is going to be decided eventually by the courts and by the agencies. This is not for some democratic principle. This is about private business. Literally, ये तो private business को लेकर के है. पार्टी को प्राइवेट बिजनेस के लिए क्यों खड़ा किया जा रहा है?
कैन आई कम इन?
जस्ट अ सेकंड मिस्टर कृष्णा, शुभ्रांश राय को बोलने दीजिए.
ऑब्जेक्शन है. पहली इंपॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी ने 90 करोड़ रुपया दिया नेशनल हेराल्ड को. उनके कर्मचारी, उनके रिपोर्टर, उनके एडिटर, उनके पत्रकारों को सैलरी देने के लिए. पहली इंपॉर्टेंट बात. फिर से ध्यान से सुनिए, जिसमें 67 करोड़ रुपए सिर्फ सैलरी बांटने के काम और वीआरएस बांटने के काम आया था। क्या ये लोगों को सैलरी और वीआरएस देना स्कैम है? अगर ये स्कैम नहीं है तो आपका जो प्रोड्यूसर और न्यूज रूम जो स्कैम करके चला रहा है, ये बताता है कि आपकी पत्रकारिता निष्पक्ष नहीं है। एक दूसरी इंपॉर्टेंट बात, अगर ईडी ने रिमांड किया क्वेश्चनिंग के लिए, किसी को क्वेश्चनिंग पे बुलाना अगर स्कैम है तो ठीक है, अगर वो स्कैम नहीं है तो फिर से आपकी पत्रकारिता के ऊपर सवाल है। और तीसरी इंपॉर्टेंट बात, टुडे आई सीन बिकॉज आई एम देयर पद्मजा, सबसे ज्यादा अगर किसी का कैमरा और माइक था तो वो टाइम्स नाउ और टाइम्स नाउ नव भारत के। मोर देन 10 रिपोर्टर्स आर इनटू दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लेसेस। द एरिया इज सील्ड। मोर देन मतलब 1000 पुलिस।
What is your point, sir? आपने हमारी रिपोर्टिंग का विश्लेषण तो कर दिया। What is your point?
एक मिनट पद्मजा, कैन आई कंप्लीट?
Yes, complete.
एक मिनट सुनिए तो सही।
But come to the point.
सुन लीजिए, क्योंकि आपको मैं कहूं कि आपने जो गलत चला रहे हो, देश के लोगों को मिसगाइड कर रहे हो, उसके लिए आप माफी मांगो, तो आप मांगोगे नहीं, क्योंकि शायद हो सकता है
चलाया क्या गलत, ये तो बताइए। आप तब से बताए, भाषण दिए जा रहे हैं, ये तो बताइए गलत क्या है।
एक मिनट पद्मजा सुनिए,
क्या आज वहाँ पर लोग थे जिनको पता नहीं था कि प्रोटेस्ट क्यों हो रहा है? क्या ये पार्टी को खड़ा नहीं किया गया टू प्रोटेक्ट प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टिगेशन? व्हाई?
क्या लोगों को अपने नेता के साथ ईडी के दफ्तर जाना गुनाह है? हम तो अकेले थे, चुपचाप थे, शांत चले जा रहे थे। क्यों भाई? आखिर नरेंद्र मोदी और अमित शाह को किस बात का डर लगता है?
But sir, what are you protesting? What are you protesting? You are saying investigation नहीं होना चाहिए।
जिसने एक मिनट
क्वेश्चनिंग के लिए नहीं बुलाना चाहिए।
पद्मजा 30 सेकंड मोर।
एक सेकंड, शुभ्रांश राय, let me ask you a simpler question.
प्लीज सुनिए,
because you were there.
दो कान दिया है, बोलिए मत, सुनिए। पद्मजा लिसन फास्ट, लिसन फास्ट। नो 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 पद्मजा, यू
गो ऑन लिसनिंग।
ये वो अखबार है जिसने अंग्रेजों को देश छुड़ाया था। तो ये कौन से लोग हैं? अभी आपने बोला ना सिंहासन खाली करो, बिल्कुल इनको सिंहासन खाली करना पड़ेगा। इन्होंने ईडी, इनका वही डिपार्टमेंट है, इलेक्शन जिताने का डिपार्टमेंट जो है।
पर सर आपने अभी तक ये नहीं बताया कि अगर एलिगेशन राहुल गांधी के खिलाफ है एज एन इंडिविजुअल, तो फिर पार्टी उनका बचाव करने के लिए क्यों उनको वहां पे तैनात किया जाता है?
आज लोग बात कर रहे हैं नरेंद्र मोदी के स्टेटस पे, उन्होंने अडानी के साथ उनका क्या रिश्ता है जो उन्होंने श्रीलंका के अधिकारी को फेवर किया था?
सर आप किधर की बात किधर ले जा रहे हो? आई हैव अ सिंपलर क्वेश्चन कि राहुल गांधी एज एन इंडिविजुअल इज अक्यूज्ड, व्हाई इज द पार्टी बीइंग डिप्लॉयड टू प्रोटेक्ट हिम?
सिंहासन खाली करना पड़ेगा उन्हें भी और उनके चाहने वालों को भी।
चलिए, आपने बोल दिया तो हो गया। कुंतल कृष्णा, आई एम स्टिल ट्राइंग टू गेट एन आंसर टू द क्वेश्चन कि आज के सत्याग्रह की मांग क्या है? कि क्वेश्चनिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए, कि क्वेश्चनिंग घर पे होनी चाहिए, कि मेरे 90 करोड़ मेरे हैं, आपको कोई हक नहीं है सवाल पूछने का? मांग क्या है इस सत्याग्रह की?
Padmaja, today ED was questioning Rahul Gandhi because central government and Mr. Modi wanted to give a message, a clear message, that anyone who does not fall in line with whim and fancies of Modi, Shah and RSS will not be spared.
ईडी की माइंड रीडिंग ना आप कर सकते हैं ना मैं कर सकती हूँ। आप मेरे को ये जवाब दीजिए, इस सत्याग्रह का मकसद क्या था?
It is all working as frontals of BJP.
ओके, इस आज के सत्याग्रह का मकसद क्या था?
कि सिंहासन खाली करो, जनता आती है। मकसद यही था।
ओके, गुरु प्रकाश
था कि सिंहासन खाली करो, जनता आती है।
आप दोनों मेरे को थैंक यू कहिएगा एट द एंड। चलिए, मैंने आपको कम से कम एक स्लोगन तो दे दिया, थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन था। गुरु प्रकाश जी।
Padmaja, 2013, the Supreme Court of India says CBI is a caged parrot. CBI, सेंट्रल ब्यूरो ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन, पिंजड़े में बंद एक तोते की तरह है। अब सीबीआई को पिंजड़े में बंद तोते की तरह जिन्होंने बनाया था, उनको आज सारी एजेंसीज वैसी दिखती हैं। आई रियली पिटी that a lot of Congress workers and someone I deeply respect, Mr. Kuntal Krishna, who has risen from the ground, I expect more rationality, more logic from you. इतने रीढ़ होने की जरूरत नहीं है that you have to support Rahul Gandhi in this case. You have to support the rules, you have to support the procedure, you have to support the spirit of the constitution. Your leader, my leader cannot be above the constitution of India. आपका नेता हो, मेरा नेता हो, इस देश में संविधान सर्वोपरि है और संविधान संगत प्रक्रिया, transparency, accountability must be ensured at all all costs.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, especially because शायद कल शुभ्रांश राय को दोबारा जाना पड़ेगा. कल भी प्रोटेस्ट बुलाया गया है क्योंकि फिर से राहुल गांधी को समन किया गया है. So I'll let you call it a night, Mr. Shubhransh Rai and Mr. Kuntal Krishna. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for having joined me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here.
For the last 2 years, the world has been relentlessly fighting the COVID-19 pandemic as the countries across the globe prioritize vaccinations to keep the next wave.
You're watching The News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here. You're watching The News Hour at 10. Times now. Action begins here.
क्या पूछूं आपसे कि आपका जो स्टे था कांग्रेस पार्टी में, ये शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट था कि हॉट एंड सावर था?
जब जब राजनीति में कोई फैसले होते हैं मैडम जी, तब एक बात बहुत तय होती है कि लोगों के हित के लिए, जनता की सेवा के लिए ये फैसला होना चाहिए, और उसी को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया गया था। लेकिन जहां गए, जिस कांग्रेस पार्टी पर भरोसा किया, उनके नेताओं पर जो भरोसा किया, उससे एक बात तो तय हो गई थी कि ना ये जन सेवा करना चाहते हैं और ना कोई करता है उसको रोकने का काम करते हैं। जो जन सेवा करना चाहता है उसको रोक दो, हम नहीं करना चाहते तो हमारे साथ जुड़ जाओ। और ये काम हम नहीं कर सकते थे। हम आंदोलन के जरिए निकले थे, लोगों ने हम पर उम्मीद देखी थी, हम पर भरोसा किया था, और हमने कहीं ना कहीं गुजरात के भीतर एक अच्छी उम्मीद को खड़ा करने का काम किया था, जो कांग्रेस को इनडायरेक्टली डायरेक्टली 2017 में फायदा किया था और मजबूत विपक्ष की भूमिका में आई थी। लेकिन आज कहां हुआ, ना आपको मीटिंग में बुलाते हैं, आपको वर्किंग प्रेसिडेंट बना दिया, लेकिन कोई काम आपका तय ना किया। कहीं ना कहीं सिर्फ अपमान। और हमारे परिवार में और हमारे कई साथी कहते हैं कि अगर जहां सम्मान ना हो वहां अपमान नहीं होना चाहिए।
तो हार्दिक जी, ये सब आपको पहले से पता नहीं था? क्योंकि 2017 आप पॉलिटिक्स में आए थे और 2019 का चुनाव हुआ था, आप बहुत जगह साथ साथ घूमे थे क्योंकि आपने फॉर्मली कांग्रेस पार्टी ज्वाइन कर ली थी। और हमेशा से लोग यही कहते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी ओन्ड बाय एक गांधी परिवार है। तो आपको पहले ये पता नहीं था या अंदर जाके कुछ ऐसा पता चला जो आप चौंक गए और इतना सरप्राइज हो गए?
देखिए नविका जी, मैं 2019 में पार्टी ज्वाइन किया था। 2015 से लेकर 2019 तक मैं इंडिपेंडेंट रहा, जनता की आंदोलन किए, जनता की सेवा की, और हमारे आंदोलन के कारण अनेक योजना गुजरात के लोगों को मिली। कांग्रेस में ज्वाइन होने का रीजन ये था कि हमें ऐसा था कि यार हमारा कोई पॉलिटिकल फैमिली है नहीं, पॉलिटिकल परिवार नहीं है, चलो राहुल गांधी जी हमें प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे, इसीलिए हम
Get you updates from across the nation. Shakti Kapoor's son Siddhant Kapoor was detained in Bengaluru after police raided a rave party in a private hotel. The cops found that he consumed drugs. Shraddha Kapoor's brother has worked in a few films as well. A trainer aircraft from Amethi made an emergency landing earlier today. Sources confirmed that the trainee pilot was safe in the incident that was reported from Khairana village. A 60-year-old elephant, popularly known as Mr. Kabini, breathed his last on Sunday. The news triggered an outpouring of grief on social media. As per the post-mortem, Bhogeshwara died of natural causes. There's big relief for Bengal government. Calcutta High Court dismissed Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's petition for CBI probe into the alleged Metro Dairy scam. The court says it won't interfere in the matter. More skeleton.
Times now. Action begins here.
For the last 2 years, the world has been relentlessly fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. As the countries across the globe prioritize vaccinations to keep the next wave of COVID at bay, India also rolled out precautionary jabs this year to achieve herd immunity against the virus. While COVID has not risen substantially in India in the last few months, the pandemic has not yet faded. India has remained on guard, but vaccination among children remains low and is significantly less talked about.
Immunizing the kids will not only check the spread of the asymptomatic infections, who can act as host, silent.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're tuned into Times Now. This is News Now Overnight and I'm Poonam Burde. Today there was hectic drama here in the national capital over Rahul Gandhi's ED date. It spilled over on the rest of the country as well, and that dominates our headlines this evening. Rahul Gandhi's ED questioning not done yet. Agency summons him again tomorrow to seek answers on the Herald Sweetheart loan and the alleged fraud. After hitting the streets, Congress netas wait for 10 hours at the AICC office for solidarity. Now, Rajasthan workers directed to reach the national capital tomorrow. After alleging vendetta and misuse of agencies, now Congress alleges leak by the ED to media agencies, calls it Modi government's propaganda. Clueless supporters, alleged paid actors and Congress's leaders running for cover from the police. Party's rank and file leave the top brass completely embarrassed. In Bengal, radical group instigates violence, calls for end of kafirs, but is still free. State government, in fact, jails another youth who protested this violence. BJP slams the duplicity. Times Now decodes the Ranji riot plot, WhatsApp messages and pre-planning under investigation, but despite an FIR, Congress denies attack on temples. Bulldozers knocked down homes of alleged rioters across Uttar Pradesh. Opposition attributes it to bias against Muslims. BJP asks why rush to give clean chit. Delhi's corona case tally sends alarm bells ringing. Over 600 new cases in the last 24 hours. Positivity rate passed the 7% mark. Let's get you started on this edition with breaking news coming in. The Herald headache is not yet over for the Gandhi scion. Congress MPs Rahul Gandhi has been summoned yet again tomorrow for day 2 of questioning. He has been questioned for over 9 hours today, even as Congress leaders, workers, supporters hit the streets in solidarity, not just here in the national capital, but across the country as well.
कि सुबह 8 बजे से कांग्रेस ऑफिस का यही नजारा है। सुबह से रात हो गई है, अभी लगभग हम 10 बजे बात कर रहे हैं कांग्रेस मुख्यालय में। इसी तरह से कांग्रेस के नेता और कार्यकर्ता जो है वो लगातार यहाँ जुटे हुए हैं तस्वीरों के जरिए। एक बार मैं अपने कैमरा पर्सन से कहूंगी आपको तस्वीरें दिखाइए कांग्रेस मुख्यालय की। फर्क सिर्फ इतना है कि सुबह जो हम तस्वीर दिखा रहे थे वो रोशनी में थी और अब जो तस्वीर दिखा रहे हैं वो कैमरे की लाइट के जरिए दिखाने की कोशिश हो रही है। कल फिर राहुल गांधी से ईडी पूछताछ करेगी। 9 घंटे से ज्यादा पूछताछ जो है वो चली है, लेकिन सड़कों पर आज कांग्रेस पूरी तरह दिखी। चाहे वो कार्यकर्ताओं की बात करें, कांग्रेस के मुख्यमंत्रियों की बात करें या फिर कांग्रेस के सांसदों की, तमाम जो नेता हैं वो सड़कों पर दिखे राहुल गांधी के समर्थन में।
Bhavtosh is now with me for more on this. Bhavtosh, it was a little after 11 this morning when Rahul Gandhi reached the Enforcement Directorate office. Apart from that 90-hour lunch break that he got in which he went to meet his mother Sonia Gandhi at the Gangaram hospital, he has been inside and the questioning has been on. But looks like the Enforcement Directorate is not satisfied yet because tomorrow yet again he will have to face them.
Yes, Poonam, in fact, he has again been summoned for questioning. That would be day 2 for Rahul Gandhi. Remember, this is the first time that Rahul Gandhi would be facing a federal probe agency questioning. This is the first time probably for Gandhi also to face questioning by any probe agency. Rahul Gandhi arrived at the office of the Enforcement Directorate at around 11:10, and high drama, in fact, happened before Rahul Gandhi arrived here. And his mother, in fact, has also been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate on 23rd of June. Congress leaders, in fact, protested outside the Enforcement Directorate office, and several of them were, in fact, picked up and detained by the Delhi police. As far as the questioning is concerned, it revolves around the Young India and Associate General's rather complex relationship, and ED on its part had said that they had taken cognizance of the various reports that were filed by the Income Tax Department and also the money laundering aspect of this case. They have said the very fact that the entire loan of 91 crore rupees was written off for just 51 lakh rupees is something that is rather suspicious, and even that 51 lakh rupee was taken from a shell company which is based out of Kolkata. Now, Rahul Gandhi statement is being recorded under Section 50 of the MLA, and they have said that since it's a case of money laundering, Rahul Gandhi's statement can also be used in court of law. Tomorrow, again, he has been summoned, and ED has said that they will go through his statement very minutely before again summoning him. Maybe tomorrow his statement will be recorded, and if they go through his statement again, more summons could be issued in days to come.
Right, Bhavtosh, do keep a track of that investigation. But for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the very latest. Now, the stage is set for yet another showdown tomorrow, or it looks like that, because there is a fresh diktat that has come to the fore, at least from the Congress unit, or at least from the Rajasthan unit of the Congress party, because all of the local leaders, the supporters, have been asked to lay siege to the national capital tomorrow, when it is day 2 for Rahul Gandhi to face the Enforcement Directorate. But today, through the day, some of the party's leaders left the party completely embarrassed, like the chief of the Youth Congress, who was seen running for cover after he was being stopped by a Delhi policeman during this protest, or the former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Digvijay Singh, who seemed more interested to know where the attendance was being marked rather than why he was actually there. Listen in.
हाजिरी अंदर है।
दिग्विजय सिंह जी हैं यहाँ पर। दिग्विजय सिंह जी, आप आए हैं कि क्या आप कुछ
भाई हाजिरी कहाँ लिखाना है? हाजिरी अंदर है।
आप कुछ कहेंगे?
Now, across the country, we saw protests happening for Rahul Gandhi, or so the Congress party would like to believe, because Times Now found out that many of these so-called Congress protesters were either paid for hitting those streets, or they didn't even know why they were out there. Take a look at this comedy of errors that hit the Congress party all day today.
कौन सा ही काम क्या है, महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार है और हुकुमशाह सरकार है, इसलिए हम इसके धिक्कार करने के लिए आए हैं।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है कि इसके बारे में। जो मैम ने बोला मेरा गला खराब होने के।
अच्छा सर, आपको पता है किस वजह से सम्मान भेजा गया राहुल गांधी? नहीं पता।
जो प्रदर्शन में आए, क्या ये प्रदर्शन किस चीज?
सर मेरे को नहीं पता इसके बारे में, और किससे पूछना?
ಏನು ರೇಷನ್ ಬೆಳೆದ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬೆಳೆದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಇದೆ।
ये प्रदर्शन के बारे में पता नहीं है, बैठे ही है खाली। है
कैसे आए?
नहीं अभी बैठे ही, हम भी यहाँ सुन नहीं रही है क्या बोल रहे हैं, क्या नहीं
सुनने के लिए बैठे, मतलब आपको आइडिया नहीं है।
यहाँ किस लिए आया? किस लिए?
ये झंडा लगाने के लिए 500 बोल के लाई थी मजदूरी पे।
500 रुपए देते बोले।
क्यों है ये प्रोटेस्ट?
मैम बताएंगे।
मैम बताएंगे, आपको नहीं मालूम ये क्यों प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं?
ये बिजली के लिए कर रहे हैं, हमें बड़े बिल बहुत ज्यादा
आ रहा है।
महंगाई बढ़ाई भाजपा सरकार।
मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है, इसमें मैम बताएंगे।
Now, the spectacle aside, the Gandhis face some very serious allegations. The Enforcement Directorate was waiting to ask Rahul Gandhi today, and will continue to do so tomorrow, about the Young Indian Private Limited, when it was formed, how much money was used to set it up, and how and where those funds came from for the takeover of AJL by Young Indian, because it was not just the takeover of a particular company, it was also taking over of its liabilities. An important aspect of the questioning was the loan from Dotex Private Limited, a Kolkata-based company company that was allegedly involved in a Hawala operation. Now, Rahul Gandhi had to explain it to the Enforcement Directorate if Dotex provided a loan to AGL to buy Young Indian and whether everything was above board in that transaction, because the Enforcement Directorate believes that that is not the case, which is why it's not just about this Hawala transaction, it is also about a PMLA fraud case. The BJP is asking those exact questions, not just to Rahul Gandhi, but to his entire party that was out to back him today to the hilt. Listen in to those pointed charges that came to the fore from Union Minister Smriti Irani and the character certificate that was given by Congress leaders to Rahul Gandhi.
What is Rahul Gandhi's relationship, or the Gandhi family's relationship, with Dotex Merchandise Private Limited? Mr. Gandhi, is it true Dotex Merchandise Private Limited is one of the several companies of a Hawala entry operator based out of Kolkata, where in lieu of cash, checks are given? Mr. Gandhi, is it true that Dotex Merchandise's transactions have been red flagged for suspicious transactions by the Financial Intelligence Unit?
जिनको जहां भी बुलाया जाएगा हम जाएंगे वहां और सारे सवालों का जवाब देंगे, और जब तक हर चीज़ स्पष्ट नहीं हो जाती है हम वहां टिके रहेंगे, मतलब कि हमेशा जाएंगे और जवाब देंगे। पर जो टाइमिंग है इनका, जो तौर तरीका है, देश को बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, देश को बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, इसलिए ये लोग सब आंदोलन कर रहे हैं।
If you have not committed any crime, if you have not been the beneficiary of corruption, then what is your hesitation in going to the ED and answering their questions? I don't know what is the example that these people are sending to the youth of our country, that economic offenders should have some sort of a blanket immunity just because they assemble a crowd. But under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, all of these agencies that are autonomous agencies will be allowed to investigate every crime, big or small, by the mighty or by the non-mighty.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार जब से बनी है पिछले 8 साल से विपक्ष के या जहां विपक्षी सरकारें हैं वहां सेंट्रल एजेंसियों के द्वारा लगातार विपक्ष के नेताओं के खिलाफ केस दर्ज किए हैं। पिछले 8 वर्षों में भारतीय जनता पार्टी शासित एक भी राज्य में उनके समर्थक दलों के या उनके दल के नेताओं पे कोई भी आपराधिक प्रकरण दर्ज नहीं किया है।
तानाशाही की चरम पर है। आज सूबे से कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ चाहे राहुल गांधी जो आम कार्यकर्ता एमपी हो बेतहाशा जुल्म कर रहे हैं दिल्ली के पुलिस, और वो भी हमारे बीजेपी पार्टी की सरकार की निर्देश आदेश पे ही। 10 बज चुके हैं रात, अभी भी ये थानेदार ये नहीं कह सकते कि हमें हिरासत में लिया गया, ये रखा गया, क्या होगा, नतीजा क्या है, परिणाम क्या है, कोई पता नहीं। दिन भर हमें ना कुछ खाने दिए, ना कुछ पानी दिए, कुछ नहीं दिए। इस तरह के अत्याचार करने की क्या जरूरत है सर? अगर हमें जरूरत पड़े तो तिहाड़ जेल में भेज दो। अगर तुम्हें लगे कि सरकार को लगे कि हम सारे आतंकवादी हैं तो जेल में भेज दिया करो। हमारे नेता को ऐसा पीटा कि लोग अभी बुरी हालत में थाने में सारे दिन गुजर चुके हैं, फिर भी यहाँ कोई हमें यहाँ से हमें मुक्ति मिलेगा, ये रहना पड़ेगा, क्या करेगा ना करेगा, कोई स्टेटस हमें पता नहीं, हमारा औकात का पता नहीं। ये तानाशाही की चरम सीमा पर पहुंच चुकी है ये दिल्ली सरकार और खासकर बीजेपी की सरकार।
सुबह से आप लोग यहाँ हैं, लगातार जिस तरह से आप इंग्लिश में भी बात कह सकती हैं अपनी, लेकिन क्या माना जाए कि राहुल गांधी जिस तरह से 9 घंटे से ज्यादा उनसे पूछताछ हुई है, क्या ये जो कांग्रेस आरोप लगा रही है कि सरकार के इशारों पर कांग्रेस काम कर रही है?
मोदी सरकार इज अफ्रेड ऑफ राहुल गांधी जी एंड द कांग्रेस पार्टी. This is a pure political witch hunt and vendetta politics. We are also facing it by politically. We will not, either our leader Rahul Gandhi or the Congress party will not cow down by this kind of witch hunt.
जा रहा है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी इस पूरे मामले को राजनीतिक रूप दे दी है?
देखिए, जब जब सच्चाई की लड़ाई लड़ा जाता है, सत्य की लड़ाई लड़ा जाता है, तो कहीं ना कहीं भाजपा और उनके सारे समर्थक उसको यही करार देते हैं। तो सच्चाई ये है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी और कांग्रेस पार्टी की पूरी नेतृत्व सच्चाई की लड़ाई लड़ रही है, और ये सच्चाई जो है वो उस सच्चाई की लड़ाई में हम जीतेंगे।
राहुल गांधी से कल भी ईडी पूछताछ करेगी, तो क्या इसी तरह से कल भी जो कांग्रेस के नेता हैं वो सड़क पे?
देखिए, राहुल गांधी जी से आज करे, कल करे, परसों करे, करते रहे। कांग्रेस कार्यकर्ताएं राहुल जी के साथ खड़े थे, खड़े हैं और खड़े रहेंगे।
Now the Congress party there standing in full solidarity with the Gandhi scion, but there are opposition leaders who are coming out now and slamming the Congress party's spectacle that was put up here in the national capital especially, and of course across the country. YSRCP is the latest one to have come out and slammed the Congress party, especially Congress veteran and former Union Home and Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. The YSRCP leader now taking to Twitter and hurling a spineless jibe at P. Chidambaram right after the former Home Minister came onto Twitter and spoke about the way Delhi police, in fact, the police treated them brashly during protest today. Shomit is with me for more on this. Shomit, a very scathing attack there coming to the fore from the YSRCP.
Well, actually, after Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, the former Chief Minister of United Andhra Pradesh, passed away, the relation between the Y.S. family and the Congress has really deteriorated, and Y.S. Jagannath Reddy came out from the Congress after he was not offered the ministry post, and he finally has launched his own party, YSRCP party, and then he went for the elections. He waited for 5 years, and later again, he fought on around 175 seats, and he won 150 majority. And he was opposing Congress in each and every move since then. And now YSRCP top leader Vijay Sai Reddy is also Rajya Sabha member, who's considered as a close aide of Chief Minister, has took to the Twitter and clearly attacking the Gandhi family, has stated that Kama after Punjab, UP, Uttarakhand and Goa elections, drubbing Rahul Gandhi is finding it hard to show his face in public. I'm sure he will need a full body PPE kit after 2024 general elections. That means, he will be not in a position to even show his face to the public. That's what he meant. And I also stated that now the spineless, is also lacking a rib, and astonishing that Congress now has to rely on 76-year-old former Finance and Home Minister Chidambaram for street-level protests, not to mention all modern-day looters of India are being punished today, field day for karma. So this was the statement coming out from the YSRCP topmost leader, we can say, attacking the Gandhi family.
Right, the war of words there politically escalating, even as we are going to be seeing the Congress putting up yet another, or at least readying for yet another showdown tomorrow. For the moment, Shomit, thank you so much for getting us the latest. Moving on now, for the last 3 days, violence and mayhem has rocked parts of West Bengal. What started in Howrah on Friday soon spread to Nadia and Murshidabad and other areas over the weekend. There were protests against the now suspended BJP leader Nupur Sharma's comments, which took a violent turn after police stations were torched and pelted, train stations were vandalized, and protesters had to be dispersed with lathis and tear gas shelling. But who exactly lit this particular fire? Perhaps it was part of a template by certain radical groups to wreak havoc across the state. And one such provocation came in from Murshidabad on Friday when SDPI, the political arm of the NIA-designated radical group PFI, took to the streets and called for destruction and end of kafirs. Listen in.
যেদিন 2014 27 মে নরেন্দ্র মোদি পার্লামেন্টে শপথ নিয়েছিল, সেই দিন 2014 বলেছিলাম, अगर तू ही फिरौन है तो जान लो मूसा भी जरूर आएगा। अल्लाहू अकबर, अल्लाहू अकबर। पूरा दुनिया जुगे जुगे যখনই নবীর দুশমনরা জিন্দা হয়েছে, তখনই মহান আল্লাহ তাআলা ওই কে শাস্তি দেওয়ার জন্য একজন মার্দে মুজাহিদ একজন নবীকে পৃথিবীর বুকে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছে।
Now you heard the provocation. Now we'll tell you that 72 hours later, this man is still roaming free. Contrast that to the other image that is on your screens. That is of a young girl who took to social media to condemn this widespread violence and ask the rioters to leave the country if they were so unhappy, rather than wreaking havoc in the state that she lives in. She now stands in jail in Didi's West Bengal, while a man who openly incited violence is a free man. What's worse is that not only is she in jail, but Ashwini was also at the receiving end of the wrath of these rioters. They attacked her home, completely vandalized it, and then reached the police station after she was arrested to continue their violence. They targeted the policemen there, perhaps in an attempt to force them to act against this young girl. Listen in to what transpired on Saturday night at this particular police station in Danga in Murshidabad, and what the father of this girl had to tell Times Now.
আমাদের অবভিয়াসলি ইন্টেলিজেন্স ছিল, কিন্তু
The state government faces questions over a free hand that was given to hate mongers in the state. What explains the action against the SDPI, inaction in fact, against the SDPI member for the last 3 days, or the alacrity with which this young woman was arrested? Well, the police in Bengal say they are doing all they can and nobody will be spared.
আমাদের অবভিয়াসলি ইন্টেলিজেন্স ছিল, কিন্তু সবসময় জিনিসটা এত স্পন্টেনিয়াস মাঝে মাঝে হয়, এবং যেটা বললাম অনেক সময় স্পন্টেনিটির ভেতরেও অনেক কিছু ফ্যাক্টস থাকতে পারে, অনেক কনস্পিরেসি থাকতে পারে। সেটা উই আর ট্রাইং টু ফাইন্ড আউট যে কিভাবে এক্স্যাক্টলি হলো, কেন থার্সডেতে আচানক ভিড় হলো, বা তারপরে ফ্রাইডে এক্স্যাক্টলি থার্সডে বা ফ্রাইডে তারপরে কি করে জিনিসগুলো দাঁড়ালো, সেগুলো একটু সময় লাগবে। এখন ফার্স্ট প্রায়োরিটি আছে আমাদের ল অ্যান্ড অর্ডার পুরো রেস্টোর করা, এবং সেটা তবেই পসিবল হবে যখন আমরা সব অ্যারেস্টগুলো প্রপার, যারা বদমাইশ আছেন, যারা এসব করেছেন হুলিগানিজম, যারা রেসপন্সিবল আছেন তাদের অ্যারেস্ট করা।
But the BJP is not ready to buy that defense. They have been hitting the streets in Bengal over the weekend to protest the alleged appeasement policy of the ruling TMC. Mamata Banerjee and her party is to blame for this mayhem, says the Saffron Party. What's coincidental is that the same charge is being hurled at the BJP, in fact, by the ruling party of West Bengal. Listen in to those water words.
There is no such incident that the Bengal is burning. There was some spurical protest as like in other parts of India. As you know, the friend of BJP saying that they're a Muslims party but they divide vote to help BJP. There is a hand of BJP which are playing the cards of decisive politics here because the Muslims and Hindus, both in Bengal, the culture of Bengal does not permit us to think of any division among us.
इतना ईगो क्या है? ये पूरा हो रहा है इसलिए एक तो जानबूझ के जो रूलिंग पार्टी है, खास करके चीफ मिनिस्टर, उन्होंने पैट्रोनाइज कर रहा है, इंस्टिगेट कर दिया है। आज दूसरा, पुलिस को काम करने का कोई इंस्ट्रक्शन, डायरेक्शन नहीं है।
Now, a healthcare center was vandalized during the clashes that broke out in Nadia yesterday. Times Now went there on ground to see what it looks like now 24 hours later. Take a look.
Yesterday, clashes broke out in the Betua Dahari area in Nadia district. You can see this is the healthcare center which was completely vandalized. You can see stones has been pelted towards the building. You can see broken glasses, stones which are shattered on the road, and there was a gathering of around 1,000 demonstrators in the Betua Dahari area, which threw stones, damaged houses and tried to block the roads. And upon being chased by the police, a section ran inside the Betua Dahari railway station and attacked a train which was waiting on a platform there.
The rioters went on a rampage and vandalized everything in their way, including an ATM, including a residential building. Even a train station was not spared by these rioters, where a train was pelted with stones. Its windows panes were completely shattered. Take a look at these reports.
This is the ATM which was first damaged by the protesters out here. They had pelted stones and completely vandalized the ATM. Later, they moved to this residential building, and you can see there has been stones which are lying on the road, and you can see thousands of them just lying on the road. So from this you can understand the severity of the clashes that broke out and the kind of stone pelting which was done in this area. And let me show you the visuals, the glass windows of these buildings which are completely damaged, and there are people who were staying inside at the time when the clashes broke out. And when the police tried to chase away these group of protesters, there were a lot of them, around thousands, what the police sources tell us. They moved towards the railway crossing, and as we head towards the railway crossing, all you can see is just stones lying on the road.
Moving on now to Jharkhand, where 10,000 people surrounded a Hanuman temple. That is what the FIR in those clashes that broke out on Friday says. The mob moved towards the temple in a bid to overrun it. An FIR that has now been filed in that particular case, where we now know that at least 3 temples in Ranchi were attacked, alleges that 60 to 70 rounds were fired by the mob at the police. But the Congress, which is an ally of the JMM government, there refuses to accept the case that has been filed by its own police. They are even denying the desecration of the temple despite there being clear video evidence. Listen in.
देखिए देखिए पत्थर चला रहा, देखिए देखिए, आप इधर आ जाइए, आप इधर आ जाइए, इधर आ जाइए, चुप जाइए, इधर आ जाइए सर, पत्थर चल रहा है सर, हमको कवर में लगा, मेरा मोबाइल टूट गया सर, जल्दी से सर देखिए, अभी पत्थर चला रहा था सर, फोर्स भेज दीजिए सर, फोर्स भेज दीजिए
जी। सांप्रदायिक घटनाएं क्योंकि लगातार झारखंड में रिपोर्ट की गई हैं, पहले भी की गई है, लोअर दंगा में भी इस तरह की घटना सामने आई, और अब तो आपके राजधानी के अंदर होती है इस तरह की घटना। टाइम्स नाउ लगातार दिखा रहा है 3 मंदिरों पर हमला किया गया, डेलिबरेटली अटेम्प्ट ऑफ इन्वोकिंग राइट्स था वो सर, क्योंकि सीसीटीवी फुटेजेस सामने आए हैं, मंदिरों पर हमला होता है, घरों पर हमला होता है, सरकार क्यों जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेती? और
ये हम कैसे मान लें कि आपने फुटेज जो बना दिया वही सही है? किसने हमला किया है?
पुलिस ने एफआईआर भी रजिस्टर कर दी है सर।
एफआईआर रजिस्टर कर दिया और किसी को पकड़ा है क्या?
Some stories in brief now. Rouse Avenue Court extended Satyendra Jain's judicial custody by 14 days. Bail petition of Satyendra Jain will now be heard tomorrow. Big relief for the Bengal government. Calcutta High Court has dismissed Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's petition for CBI probe into the alleged Metro Dairy scam. The court says it will not interfere in the matter, affirming that selling of shares is not illegal. More skeletons are tumbling out of the Moosewala murder case. Pune cops arrested shooter Santosh Jadhav in Gujarat. Pune police sent multiple teams to both Gujarat and Rajasthan last week to track down Jadhav. A trainer aircraft from Ameethi's Fursatganj made an emergency landing. Sources confirmed that the trainee pilot was safe and the incident was reported from the Khairana village of Fursatganj. A 60-year-old elephant, popularly known as Mr. Kabini, breathed his last on Sunday. The news triggered an outpouring of grief on social media. Time for a quick break here on this edition, but on the other side, we're going to get you the politics that is transpiring here in Uttar Pradesh over the bulldozer action. Stay tuned for those details.
Times now. Action begins here.
Welcome back. News coming in now. After 9 hours of questioning, we're given to understand Rahul Gandhi has finally left the Enforcement Directorate headquarters here in the national capital. Of course, he has to return to that exact location back again tomorrow because day 2 of his questioning is going to be taking place. But for now, we're given to understand the latest is that Rahul Gandhi has finally left the Enforcement Directorate office after about 10 hours or so. A little past 11 a.m. this morning is when Rahul Gandhi had reached the Enforcement Directorate office amid a show of strength and solidarity by Congress workers, supporters and its party leaders, including the 2 chief ministers that it's left with. Now, we're given to understand that Rahul Gandhi, those visuals on your screens are testament to that Rahul Gandhi has now left the Enforcement Directorate office only to be returning about 12 hours later tomorrow at 11 a.m. again. Tomorrow is day 2 of the quizzing, likely day 2 of the Satyagraha, as the Congress calls it, or a showdown as well. Priyank is with me for more on this now. Priyank, another 12 hours to go and Rahul Gandhi is going to be back at the ED office is what we're given to understand.
Yes, Adi Poonam, and it's going to be another tough day for Rahul Gandhi because the man in question in detail by the Enforcement Directorate officers is certainly something very serious which is going to come up for the Congress party because if you look at the manner in which the whole party came up together.
We'll try and reconnect with my colleague Priyank there, who's getting us the very latest. We'll also try and get in details of what exactly was it that the Enforcement Directorate asked Rahul Gandhi for about 10 hours today. We do know that the line of questioning was specifically, or more importantly, about Dotex Private Limited, believed to be a Hawala firm, and the Hawala transaction is what was under the scanner. Priyank is back with us, I believe. Priyank, we did know and we did gather from our sources within the agency that today perhaps the focus was going to be on the link with Dotex Private Limited. Was that the line of questioning that went on through the day for Rahul Gandhi?
Yes, in the initial stage of questioning, Rahul Gandhi was asked regarding his profile, what he does, and what is the kind of source of income which he has. Later to that, the Enforcement Directorate also shifted towards the transaction which happened in between Dotex and later the manner in which these equities shared and from initial.
We'll try and get you the latest, but for now we can tell you that Rahul Gandhi has left the Enforcement Directorate office. We will get you more details, and Times Now is going to be your destination tomorrow as well as we track the very latest and minute-by-minute updates coming in on that big developing story. Moving on now to news coming in from Kerala, where 2 Congress youth workers reportedly wearing black shirts raised slogans against the Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan inside a flight today. And over that now protests are breaking out. CPM Congress workers, in fact, clashed at every district, where we are given to understand that certain attacks on CPM offices were also reported from, because CPM leaders, in support of their leader and the Chief Minister of Kerala, came out onto the streets after this alleged misbehavior by the Congress leaders on board a flight against the Chief Minister while he was travelling to Thiruvananthapuram. Vivek is now joining us for more on this. Vivek, dramatic scenes there, first seen on both that flight and then on the streets of Kerala.
Exactly. Dramatic scenes unfolding across the state after this incident place in the aircraft, in the Indigo aircraft today by around 6 o'clock, where two youth Congress leaders tried to shout slogans against Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan while he was disembarking from the flight. At that point of time, EP Jayarajan, the LDF convener who was present, just pushed aside the two youth Congress leaders, and then that led to a major protest across the state. The CPM is alleging that the Congress is now planning, conspiring to attack Chief Minister, to go physical against Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. As we speak right now, just till 10 o'clock, there was clashes between CPM and Congress workers, mostly DYFI and Youth Congress workers across 14 districts in Kerala. And in many places, the Congress offices was attacked. In Kannur, the DCC office was vandalized. In Thiruvananthapuram, the KPCC office was attacked. A banner was destroyed, and stones were thrown at the vehicles that was parked in the compound. And also across the state, in many places, such untoward incident happened. Tomorrow, Congress has decided, KPCC president has decided to call for a black day in the history of Kerala. Tomorrow will be observed as a black day, and also there will be protests against the kind of attacks that's been mounted against Congress activists in the last few hours, ever since Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan was challenged by Congress workers inside an aircraft, an Indigo aircraft, just landed in Thiruvananthapuram airport today evening. It needs to be seen as how the revelations of Swapna Suresh is going to further this issue lead to the political. What are the political implications? That needs to be seen in the coming days.
Right, do keep a track of all the developments there on ground. For the moment, Vivek, thank you so much. Moving on now to Uttar Pradesh, where there is massive controversy over the bulldozer style of justice. Wrongdoers shall face the bulldozers was an unequivocal statement of intent that came to the fore from the Deputy Chief Minister of the state, Keshav Prasad Maurya. He warned all those indulging in the violence in the state, and in keeping with the zero tolerance to crime policy, bulldozers have been brought out for those accused of planning and executing riots across the state.
देखिए ये पूरा मलबा पड़ा हुआ है, 2 मंजिल मकान था, 3 जेसीबी लगाए गए थे और जो पूरा इलाका है उसे पुलिस छावनी में तब्दील कर दिया गया था। जो आसपास के घरों के लोग हैं उन्हें कहा गया था कि घरों में अंदर ही रहें। ऊपर पुलिस डिप्लॉयमेंट किया गया था ताकि कोई गली में लोग इकट्ठे ना हो, छतों पर लोग इकट्ठे ना हो, ताकि अनहोनी के हालातों से बचा जा सके। तो अब कार्रवाई केवल जावेद मोहम्मद के घर के ऊपर नहीं हुई है, बल्कि अटाला इलाके में जहां जहां अतिक्रमण है और जो आरोपी हैं, जिनकी अवैध इमारतें हैं, जिनका नक्शा पास नहीं, जिन्होंने अतिक्रमण कर रखा है, उन सबको इस कार्रवाई के दायरे में लाया जाएगा।
कि हमारे पिताजी को तो एकदम से फ्रेम करा गया है अचानक से, क्योंकि इससे पहले कभी उनका किसी चीज़ में नाम भी नहीं था, जैसे उन्होंने बताया। तो उस दिन पूरे दिन घर में थे, घर के पास वाली मस्जिद में नमाज़ पढ़ा था और आकर हम ही लोग के साथ सब लोग ने साथ में खाना खाया था। शाम में वो नमाज़ पढ़ने गए थे मगरिब की, फिर उसके बाद वो आने में थोड़ा देरी हुई थी। उसी वक्त पुलिस आई और उनको घर के बाहर आके खड़ी होकर ये पूछ रही थी जावेद साहब को भेजिए।
Now in Kanpur, administration started sealing the properties of those allegedly involved in the June 3rd violence. Police have also sealed 3 properties in various areas. Kanpur Development Authority said that these properties were built by Haji Wasi, Shabi Salim and HS Malik without taking any proper clearance, which is why they have now been sealed. They're also linked to the alleged mastermind of the Kanpur violence, Hayat Hashmi. Earlier, illegal properties of his aides were demolished as well.
Prayagraj, the house of last Friday's violence accused Javed Mohammed was pulled down by the Prayagraj Development Authority. The Kanpur Development Authority and the local authorities here, including police, have been taking action in the matter of the 3rd June violence that happened here in the parade area, continuing with which this
house has been sealed. In fact, 3 such properties have been sealed, which actually belong to the close aides of the prime conspirator in the Kanpur violence case, Zafar Hayat Hashmi. And these are people who are known to be associates who actually financially helped Zafar Hayat Hashmi as well, which is why they were identified by the police. And now many of these properties which were under construction, which were being built without having a proper approved building plan from the local development authority, they were being built. And this such 3 properties have been sealed.
Now, politics has been raging over this bulldozer style of action, calling it targeting of poor Muslims. The opposition has come out and said that this is nothing but an attempt to silence Muslims. These are Hindutvawadis who are working to punish Muslims for protesting, is what the radical group Popular Front of India came out and said. There were many others who stood in solidarity with Afreen Fatima and her family, including AIMIM chief Assaduddin Owaisi. But the state government has maintained that this is not selective action. They are only following trail where the investigation leads them. They have also cited several examples to prove that the action that has been handed out, the demolition, does not see religion. Now, there are several instances that they had quoted while giving that particular defense, including a demolition drive that was in Noida here in Gautam Budh Nagar in June 2022, where 62 farmhouses were razed on June 1st, 15th and 8th. There were several other farmhouses that were razed in about 90 days is what we are given to understand. In Aminabad, illegal property that was attached to a temple was also demolished is what we are given to understand, and several such instances coming to the fore. Times Now went and spoke to some of those people who were at the receiving end of that particular crackdown as well. Listen in to what they had to say.
देखिए, लखनऊ का बहुत बड़ा मंदिर है अमीनाबाद हनुमान मंदिर, जिसकी व्यवस्था देखते हैं पाठक बंधु। अब क्या अगर